The protagonist in hero form shouts that he did it, he defeated the Demon King. The phrase is said that if a person is stupid, he will be captured, but if he is kind, he will be used. Blood flows from the hero's cheek. He holds his heavy sword firmly in an upright position. He says that now the world will be peaceful. However, our protagonist ends up tied up at the cross. He thought so. He thought the world would be peaceful. He doesn't understand how this happened. The woman looks at him with cunning eyes and says that now that the Demon King is dead, the only possible threat to the royal family is him, the hero. Even if he just obediently became her stupid but cute puppet. She says she will make him realize how serious a crime it is to reject her, the princess. All the people at the square shout and demand to kill him. Everyone wants the hero dead. The hero watches this in horror. He does not understand how this happened. In 1 second he becomes crazy and begins to smile. He laughs heartily. The princess asks him in surprise if he is ready yet. The princess leaves and says how bored she is, so she leaves the work to his executioner, who stands with an axe. The executioner does his job, but the hero remains conscious. Blood flows from his body. He keeps shouting after the princess that he will kill her. As soon as the blood starts flowing, the rats run around him, then climb up and cover his body. He keeps screaming that he will take everything, he will burn them all, he will show her despair and turn them all into dust. He promises to kill them, make them suffer in agony and tear them to pieces. He promises himself to kill this woman who deceived him and all the traitors as well. He wakes up in another dimension. He is barefoot. There are no scars or wounds on his body. He looks at his hands and realizes that this is a white world. This is where he started. He was here before he was reborn in this world. He is embraced by a girl in a beautiful dress. He asks her if he finally managed to die. The girl cries and continues to hug him, pitying and moaning about his fate. She calls him her beloved, her hero Raoul. She asks if it is true that this had to happen. Raoul rudely pushes the woman away, calling her the goddess of love. He asks her how she felt watching him die in vain. The goddess sits on her knees in front of him, sobbing, and asks him to torment her more, because she must give him strength. She sits up and places her hands on his torso. He reaches out to her chin, saying if this regret and her love is real. She looks at him expectantly. Raoul smiles and says that if she loves him, then let her resurrect him and let him destroy them. He asks what she will say to that. A year later, in the kingdom of Kurs in the Weyabok stead, the maids admire their mistress. They say that she is magnificently beautiful. They are sure that Emil will be enchanted by her. The mistress stands in a beautiful dress, her hair tied in a ponytail with a huge bow. Suddenly, the mistress takes out a noose. The maids ask her what she thinks. Because this is a dress of the highest quality, created especially for this day. After all, the pure white color suits her white skin and beautiful blonde hair. Here she hits one of the maids and orders her to be silent. She falls with a groan, the rest freeze in horror. She asks her if her eyes are empty. She groans and through her sobs says that she sincerely apologizes to her. She repeats these words 3 times, which angers the lady even more. She continues to hit and screams, let them look at her appearance, let them look at her expression today. She asks angrily, she must have something more suitable than this dress. The maid says that this dress was given to her by Emil for today's wedding. The maid understands what is about to happen. The lady's face suddenly becomes sweet. She turns to the other living maids and asks if they could bring her another dress to change into. They immediately obey. She accidentally steps on the maid's body and then asks the others to please remove the unsightly thing. The maids obey her and continue to serve her. At this time, there is a man with long hair of different colors standing behind. He thinks that this is a bad sign for the princess to leave. The recent incidents were the same. A month ago, the soldiers guarding the gate were wiped out. On a clear day, they mysteriously died not only with a pool of blood, but also a large pool of water. This man thinks to himself that the Royal Order of Knights is desperately investigating, but they have not learned anything about the culprit, not even whether he is a demon. In addition, he kneels down and pays respects to Victoria, the princess. He thinks she's amazing. The princess turns around, calls him the Royal Knights Commander Slandered, and asks what's going on. The commander thinks that if it is for the sake of protecting this beautiful man, even if she does not like it. He tells the princess that he can't make her change her mind, and that holding the parade until he resolved the incident a month ago would not have been possible for him to live if something had happened to her. The princess says that this may be true. By the fact that if even one scratch appears on her skin, she promises to destroy the order that protects her. The commander begins to doubtfully say that this is, of course. However, their strong defenders have been defeated, their resistance has been ineffective. Preparing for the worst-case scenario is the job of the knights. Also, recently, the leaders of their country have been dying one after another from an unknown disease. He guesses that it is almost as if they were cursed. Princess Victoria says with a yawn that she is not interested in unsightly things. She doesn't care how many withered old people die. What he says, in her opinion, has nothing to do with her. The commander says that they all repeat the same words, delirious from high fever. They are dying and ask for a blessing from Her Highness the Princess. Victoria is happy and says what a wonderful devotion they have. The commander says that the case of the murder of the gate guards and the mysterious words of the sick man are happening at the same time. He feels the presence of some invisible thread that is connected to all of this. He asks her if she could at least postpone the parade until they catch the criminal who killed the soldiers. The princess asks what there is to fear now that the demon king and the hero are dead. She despises showing fear. She adds that no matter how dangerous it is, they have many shields on parade. The commander wants to say something, but the princess uses her charm and says that they, the knights and the people, are her shield. After all, she is the sacred treasure of the country, the only one of her kind. Sandler thinks to himself how cruel this woman is. Victoria asks him if she is right. Sandler looks at her with loving eyes and says that, of course, both the citizens and he himself will be her shield. The parade begins. Everyone is shouting and happy that the princess has arrived. They all congratulate her and ask her to wave. Princess Victoria and her prospective husband Emil ride along waving to ordinary citizens. Victoria thinks to herself how wonderful this is. They are all shouting how beautiful she is and that she is a treasure of this country. Victoria openly enjoys it and thinks that this is right and that this is a great greeting. Emil tells her that she has amazing support and that all the citizens are fascinated by her. She openly says that she is the one the citizens love and that he is just an addition. This Prince Emil says with a laugh that this beautiful princess is as cruel as ever. Princess Victoria privately thinks that she has no complaints about his social status for being her marriage partner. However, Emil reveals that his mother was thrilled to hear that he was marrying her. Having done his best to follow his mother's advice so far, it is only natural that his marriage to her would not be far off. He goes on to ramble that since he noticed that she checked on him 3 times during the party, after all, that is what his mother taught him. Princess Victoria begins to realize that it looks like she'll have to listen to her mother's disgusting nonsense forever from now on. She understands that this is still an insignificant thing in the face of her ambitions. In the face of her ambitions to give birth to a son and put him on the throne in order to seize power in the country. She understands that as a tool, this man is somewhat useful to her. He has a good pedigree. He is stupid and he has the looks. If it were an ugly boy, she would be furious. She would probably have to kill him. She sighs at the thought that a man with nothing to praise but his face will be her husband. Besides, if she only cared about his looks, the hero would have been much better, i.e. Raoul. She remembers him, how he introduced himself to His Highness, that his name was Raoul, and even if he died, he would definitely defeat the Demon King. He promised to bring peace and will return peace to the kingdom. She considered him a simple, kind, and stupid man. She was struck by his powerful gaze. She wanted to desecrate those honest eyes. She comes back to reality from Emil's question. Then she continues to think again that Raoul was her most beloved, and yet his quick death was too harsh. But she managed to bring this man to death with her own hands. She thinks about him, about that face of despair. She thinks it was really a waste to die. She wonders why he refused to belong to her. At this time, people in golden armor and white armbands are announced. This is the Royal Order of Knights. People think that they look promising. Someone shouts that the dignity emanating from their princess, who can accompany this. Sandler, part of the elite force who swore allegiance to the royal family. For this, only the highest particular among the young nobles who have achieved literary and military art is selected. Princess Victoria wonders if it would hurt her. She might as well greet the shields protecting her. She smiles and waves at them. Her smile makes everyone clap and wish her health. Princess Victoria admires this applause in this great country, rich and full of laughter of citizens. She declares to herself that this country is hers, that is, this world belongs to her. The princess bows, thinking that she will capture everything except this man, the hero. The wedding ritual begins. The priest asks God to grant this marriage eternal happiness. The princess silently demands to say the blessed words promised to her. The priest asks God to allow these two to be happy. She thinks about him saying his last words to them, to bless her, so that God will grant the heavenly child of this country eternal blessings. The princess eagerly awaits the beginning of her words of glory. The citizens are also waiting, but someone near the priest begins to smile differently. The priest says to bless Her Highness the princess. The princess suddenly opens her eyes in shock because she understands where these words come from and who said them. The next second, the princess's face and entire body are covered in someone else's blood. She remembers Sandler's words, who said that they all repeated the same words while they had a high temperature. The priest falls, bleeding. The words to bless Her Highness the princess run through the princess's mind over and over again. She panics, wondering if this is just a coincidence. and then she realizes that something is wrong and turns towards the priest's assistant. The man takes off his hood. She recognizes his black hair, red eyes that look like they are burning. Princess Victoria freezes in horror and asks him in a trembling voice, "He's joking, isn't he?" Raoul asks her with a grin how she has been since so much time has passed. As he speaks, he places his hand on his chest. Princess Victoria starts screaming that it's impossible, she could have sworn he was dead. He takes a step towards her and says he was resurrected from the depths of hell to take revenge on them all. Raoul remembers the time when he was dying and was going to be reborn to take revenge on everyone. This girl, the goddess of love, asked Raoul to scold her more for loving him, but she did not help. Raoul then asked himself because she is a completely crazy deity. He met this girl before he was reborn. Then he thought that he would become a savior, bring peace to the world, bring them salvation. Although it doesn't matter anymore. Maybe because she is the goddess of love and blindly supports him. Some nonsense about him being her lover or something like that, in Raoul's opinion. He tells her that all this happened in accordance with the wishes of their gods. She denies everything and with tears in her eyes rushes to him, and in a trembling voice says that pure people will kill their savior. He then asks her to remember this well. He takes her by the chin, lifts her up, she looks at him in surprise. Raoul says that this is the true nature of the people she wanted to save, so let her not forget the fate of the one whom God chose as his savior. The goddess of love listens. She says that they were wrong in their judgment, they will no longer bring them salvation. Raoul interrupts and asks, but they love these barbarians. The goddess of love in tears confesses that the one she loves is Raoul. It is he. Raoul smirks and says how dirty she is. The goddess reaches out to him, to his face, and says that the eyes that carry a strong will, a fearless look, to have the power that could control the world if he wanted to, every part of him has meaning to her. Here Raoul realizes that she is the goddess of love. It seems that she can be surprisingly useful for him. He tells her that if this is true, then let her lend him her power. He asks her to resurrect him and let him destroy them. The goddess of love steps away in surprise. He asks her if she can do it. She says that until a spirit that has already died once is purified, it should not return to earth. Also, goddesses who break any laws will be stripped of their position. Raoul says he doesn't care about the rules of the gods, she either can or she can't. He starts manipulating and asking if this is how she feels about him. She screams that no, it's not like that. Raoul then demands that she do it. She lowers her eyes in embarrassment and agrees. He thinks that these people were the main reason for everything. He will use anything to take revenge. Raoul puts his hand on her shoulder and says that although he did not expect her to resist, because of people, he went through a sad experience. The goddess of love asks for his forgiveness. Raoul says that he still has a wish to return his other power, which she sealed. She screams that she cannot do this because it is the power of darkness. She must destroy and take everything, then his soul will be consumed by darkness. He wonders what she is trying to tell him now. The moment the most important thing was taken away from him, he ceased to be human. The goddess of love asks him why he doesn't live here with her happily in paradise for all eternity. Raoul says that if he wanted to feel it now, this will only happen as long as he watches them suffer. He says that he is the savior, so he will bring salvation to this world teeming with demons by killing them and purifying the world. She asks if he really means that he is going to go down the path of bloody slaughter. He replies that he is, and he will purify this world. The goddess of love clasps her hands and says with a moan, how wonderful, even if he has succumbed to darkness, he is still beautiful. Raoul smiles and thinks she is crazy. Raoul demands that the goddess of love fulfill his wish. De reaches out to him and says that she will do so because his happiness is her happiness. They meet with their lips and unite in a kiss that then gives all the strength from the goddess to Raoul. He feels powerful and says in a frenzy that this is his true strength. He tells her that all she has to do is resurrect him, and he asks her to do it quickly. The goddess of love, with a cloudy, loving look, says that it is the second time she has been so hurt by parting with him. She says words that say that she is sending him to the earthly world and granting him the blessing of the goddess. Raoul, hearing this prayer, smirks at the blessing. The goddess of love tells him to go and that this is the beginning of his new legend. He opens his eyes, full of madness and power, and realizes that perhaps it is time to begin cleaning this damned world. He finds himself in a field and then approaches the kingdom. There, the knights tell him to stand still because Princess Victoria is holding a wedding ceremony and only the nobles are allowed into this place. They tell him to turn around and get out of here, and suddenly he disappears, and they wonder where this guy went. The guy kills all the knights on guard at once, piercing their bodies with huge sharp fangs made of earth. He thinks that it is not very hospitable on their part, although he remembers very well how these vile soldatans swore at him and then killed all his comrades. He says with a crazy smile that it means the princess is going to get married. He is interested in this. It's been a month since he rose from the dead. Now he's standing right at Princess Victoria's wedding ceremony. He was looking forward to this day. Princess Victoria, horrified, walks away from him, shaking her hands and screaming that this is disgusting. What disgusting? Raoul laughs heartily and says that he expected nothing less from the princess, which means that for her, another person's life is disgusting. He says that's great, and that he will pretend he didn't know about it. Then Sandler comes up and yells at the princess to step back. He shouts, standing in front of the princess facing Raoul, that he killed God's messenger. This is none other than a demon who took the form of a hero, because the hero died a year ago. Raoul asks what kind of God's messenger this is. Then he steps on the corpse and asks if they're talking about him. He asks if they know that these guys not only rob the church patrons, but also, for example, find false charges to execute people. He asks Sandler if he even knows how many people died from this. Sandler is horrified for a moment. The princess screams at him from behind that he is just pulling the wool over his eyes. Princess Victoria yells at him that he is a demon, so let him show his true form. Sandler tells the princess that it is not safe. Raoul asks not to talk nonsense because this is his true form. The princess screams that he is lying because he has been dead for a long time. Raoul demonstratively cleans his ears and thinks that if she does not believe him, then they will remain standing there. The princess screams that she will not believe this. Raoul thinks that this girl is not going to believe him. He resigns himself and says that let it be as she wishes. He suddenly approaches the princess, grabs her by the hair and tells her to look at him closer and asks if he is real or not. Sandler orders the knightly order to attack. The princess screams at Raoul to remove his dirty hands. He asks if she really thinks she can scare him with these children. He says it's funny. Then there's a crunching sound. Sandler's eyes open in horror. His entire order has lost its heads at once. All the citizens look and are horrified. There is a moment of silence. Raoul says that it is glorious. People start running away in panic. They push each other. Raoul says how wonderful it is that her ugly subjects are fighting each other. He says that running is useless. He asks everyone to give him a minute of attention. People do not listen. He says that this will not do. Could they please stop and then look at him? People stop in shock. Raoul asks them to watch until the end of the show because it will be more exciting if he has more spectators. He stamps his foot sharply and shouts that this is truly a rare sight. Today they have a performance, and their favorite princess will be in the leading role. Raoul says that these people love to look at things like this. They like to watch for free. The citizens start shouting, "What nonsense, let him let them go. They are ordinary people, so they have nothing to do with it." They ask him to stop. Is he really going to kill them too? Raoul awkwardly and sweetly laughs at their reaction. Here the princess orders everyone to shut their mouths and shouts that they are her people. So why are they panicking? She declares that she is not afraid of this monster who pretends to be a hero. There is a commotion among the inhabitants. The princess looks at them hopefully. Raoul sighs and says that he has already repeated that he is not a monster. He tugs her hair tighter and asks what she was listening with. He explains that he was reborn. Is it really that hard for her little brain to accept this fact? She screams at Sandler, what is he doing? Let him hurry up and kill this man. He trembles and only moans. He explains that his magic is affecting him, so he can't move his legs. The princess addresses Sandler as a girl and asks if she is really that stupid, who should care. She screams to kill Raoul no matter if she has legs or not. Sandler remains in place in confusion because her legs do not move. Raoul screams that this won't do. He won't let her change the script of the performances so much. Sandler screams at him to be quiet and that she won't let him lay a finger on her. Raoul thinks of Sandra and understands that she is a noble woman knight, but he knows her dark face. He tugs the princess and tells her to go. She still resists and screams not to touch her. He says that the curtain will soon be lowered. Right in front of him sits a frightened Emil with bulging eyes full of tears. Raoul says that this is a wedding, so what kind of wedding is there without a husband? He orders both of them to show their feelings in public. Isn't that what they are here for? Emil suddenly flies to the princess and hugs her. Victoria screams at him. What is he doing? He sobs, saying that he does not control his body and calls for his mommy. He keeps calling his mother and crying that snot is coming out of his nose. Victoria gets even angrier and shouts what he is talking about. Raoul starts laughing loudly and heartily. He tells the princess that her husband has a mother complex. Emil keeps screaming, asking his mother to save him. Sandler yells at Raoul to leave the princess. Raoul looks on and says that it looks like all the actors are already on stage and ready to perform. Raoul says the question is addressed to the princess and asks why she broke with tradition and did not wear a white dress to the wedding. The princess looks at him in surprise. Raoul says that the color of blood is more distinct on white fabric. After all, everyone knows this simple thing. Raoul grabs the princess's clothes and rips them in front of everyone, so much so that even Emil starts to blush. holding her from behind as if putting her on display. She screams, denying everything. All the men look back and look at her greedily. She screams in rage that he is a demon who allowed him to do this to her. Raoul smiles and tells her not to worry about it. He says that since she is getting married, they probably have plans to have children. He says that it is high time for the main characters to start acting. The princess stands in shock at these words. Emil is still calling for his mother. The princess is screaming at Raoul to stop it, because this is not a body that a bastard like him can touch. She screams that he knows what will happen to him if he touches her. He doesn't want to die again. Raoul asks if she finally acknowledges him as a hero. Princess Victoria screams that she will forgive him if he apologizes right now on his knees. Raoul finds it funny that she says this. He asks her if she doesn't know where her place is. Sandler shouts that taking their princess as bait is cowardice. She demands that they fight fairly. Raoul turns to her and asks what honesty they are talking about. Has she forgotten what they used to catch him? It was before the enslavement of the Demon King in Macalay's village. Everyone is working. A little boy approaches Raoul and asks to play together. An old man asks him if it is true that he slept well. Raoul wishes everyone a good morning. Later he comes to someone and also wishes them good morning. Someone asks if they are really going somewhere. One priest says that thanks to them, the guys, they are also completely ready. After all, their mission is to restore peace to the world as soon as possible. Princess Victoria stands next to Raoul and thanks him for his help. A little boy approaches the hero and hands him a package. Raoul sees it and asks if it is rye bread. Is he sure? It is such a precious thing. The boy happily tells him to defeat the Demon King. The boy smiles widely and asks him to come back later to play. He says that he must do so. Raoul promises to definitely come back. Sandler kneels with the other knights and tells the princess later that it seems the hero has successfully subdued the Demon King. The princess orders them to seize them immediately and first search the village with which the hero was close. Sandler asks hopefully if they will make them servants. The princess with empty eyes tells them to kill them as brutally as possible. The knights are shocked. She gives orders and tells how to kill women and children while drinking her tea. She wonders what kind of face Raoul will make. Raoul returns to his village and looks in horror at the corpses hanging from the sharp trees. He wonders in shock what it is. Even that little boy was killed. He doesn't understand what happened to his village. Then the knights come. Sandler orders to seize him. Back to the present, Raoul tells the knight that killing the guards was a sign of respect for her. He asks if she noticed. Sandler starts screaming that it wasn't her fault. It wasn't a crime because she was one of the princess's knights, which means she was just honestly following the princess's orders, so there's nothing wrong with that. She states that it is fair to do this for the sake of justice. In the background, Princess Victoria asks Sandra to wait. She screams that the princess's orders are absolute. All other lives are worth nothing more than trash in front of her. They were willing to die for the princess. She is sure that the villagers were willing to do the same too. Sandra realizes that hers has become louder. Raoul says that he has amplified it with magic so that it will reach the ears of the crowd. He thanks her for the words he wanted to hear. Raoul says that the princess's crimes are now exposed. The crowd begins to wonder if the princess did this. What do they mean? Wasn't this incident the work of a hero? Someone shouts that his elder sister was killed. Didn't the princess's subordinates avenge her? Princess Victoria screams at Sandra in hatred. Raoul is cheerful and happy. Sandra immediately asks the princess for forgiveness. Raoul suggests having some more fun. He snaps his finger, after which Sandra's fist flies straight into the princess's face. Sandra freezes in horror, and the princess, missing a tooth and with bruises on her face, furiously asks her if she realizes that she hit her beautiful face. Sandra says that it is not so and that her body moves on its own. Raoul in the background is simply dying of laughter at her reaction. Emil stands behind and keeps telling his mother that he is scared. Raoul, laughing, orders Sandra to hit the princess in the face. She continues to hit, the princess groans in pain, Emil continues to sob, and Raoul stands satisfied with the spectacle. The beaten princess says that this is unforgivable. Raoul asks with a smile because her sweet face is now in disarray. The princess says that at least a face is just a face. Raoul smiles and says that's a good idea, her face doesn't matter anymore. He approaches her and tells her that they are going to the finale. He promises that she will atone for the sin of killing her older sister. Shortly before the subjugation of the Demon King, a certain woman with dark hair prays in front of an altar. Raoul addresses her as a sister and tells her that this body is no longer just hers, so she should worry more about herself than him. She strokes her pregnant belly and says that she is already tired of hearing these words. Raoul smiles when he sees her. The sister explains that this church was built by a saint who had some spoils from the war, so Raoul finishes her thought by saying that this will certainly provide him with protection. He smiles and asks her if that's true. The sister smiles sweetly, embarrassed. He tells her she can't speak for others. She says she's just worried about her little brother. He assures her it's nothing to worry about. He places his hand on her belly and says that the next time they meet, he will probably already be born. His sister tells him that the three of them will wait for him. The sister says that the hero should carry him in his arms. Raoul smiles warmly at her and says that he is just his uncle. His sister kisses him on the forehead. She and her husband stay and promise that they will pray every day for God's protection. Later, when the hero is already captured in the village, they bring him to the princess. She is glad that it did not take very long. She asks him how he is. She never thought she would be caught so easily. He screams and asks what this all means. What crime did they catch him for? Princess Victoria states that his crime is that he exists. They needed his power to subdue the Demon King. But now that the Demon King is dead, he has become useless, and unnecessary things must be thrown into the trash. The hero screams, why did she burn the village? Because these people were innocent. She answers that she was not the one who burned it because it was the hero who did it. At these words, Raoul's eyes fill with horror. The princess tells him that if he belongs to her, she can save him. She says that she does not like his look. Then Raoul spits right in her face. Raoul tells her that he despises her eyes. The princess wipes her face with a napkin, thinking that she would rather defile him. She orders Sandra to take the hero away from here. Raoul resists and screams what she is going to do. Sandra takes him away. The princess says that a real show awaits him. They come to the church. He felt this smell of the church. The princess tells him to raise his head. He smelled blood and flowers. His sister lay in blood before him. He bitterly recalls her words that he should carry her child in his arms. Back to the present, Raoul suggests moving towards the finale and says that she will atone for the sin of killing his older sister. The princess screams in horror at what he plans to do. She feels like magic is being used on her. Meanwhile, Raoul convinces himself to suppress his anger because he can't just kill her. He clenches his fist and says that her betrayal is destroyed. Blood flows from the princess's body. She starts coughing up blood, screaming that she is in pain. She falls forward and continues screaming in horror. Emil from behind asks in a panic, what is this? It is scary. He asks his mother again what happened. Raoul looks at the princess with pleasure. She screams that her stomach hurts. She fidgets on the ground, clutching her stomach. Raoul says, as if worried, that if she continues to scream, she will die from excessive bleeding. Raoul says he will stop the bleeding, because if she dies now, it will be boring for him. He uses magic and asks her, now it shouldn't hurt anymore. She shrinks and doesn't answer. Raoul waits for an answer. Suddenly, the princess starts screaming that this is incomprehensible, that it is absolutely impossible despite the fact that he was her tool. Even if he is just a pawn, then she has had enough. She does not understand why everything turned out this way. Raoul says he means they reap what they sow. She is just getting her comeuppance for her wrongdoings. He smiles and says he is just copying what they did. He turns around and awkwardly says that he forgot. He turns to the other knights and says that they should be excited too, as they will eventually get their turn to die a miserable death. Raoul clicks and says that today's show is over. He tells everyone that they did a great job. Finally, they can move. The princess does not understand what her boys are doing. She orders them to hurry up and kill this demon. If not, she threatens them with punishment. Raoul happily says that she still barks and thinks it's amazing. The knights stand there confused at first and then attack for the sake of Her Highness the Princess. 3 knights stab Raoul with their swords. Blood flows from the wounds. He coughs. The princesses begin to rejoice. She starts screaming that this is what happens when they confront her. She told him she would kill him. She screams at him to repent. Raoul sighs and asks Victoria if she has forgotten that he is a hero and won't die from a few pokes. The princess is shocked and does not understand how and what it is. Raoul says that it is a pity that he could not live up to her expectations, after which he begins to walk with swords in his body. He pulls out one sword, points it at the princess, and says that he will return as soon as she gets her beautiful face back. He throws away his sword, which frightens Emil, and leaves the square, saying goodbye to everyone, promising that they will see each other again. But he stops abruptly and says that he forgot something, further frightening the townspeople. He turns to them and congratulates her on her wedding with all his heart. The princess looks at him with disgust. He repeats the same words to bless Her Highness the Princess. Raoul goes with the flowers, enters the same church, and asks forgiveness for being late from his older sister. He leaves the flowers at the altar. He leaves and sees some bald man sitting on the seat suffering. He goes out and wishes for everyone to burn in hellfire, and decides that he will not return a second time. Suddenly, the spirit of his older sister appears before him. He starts laughing heartily, thinking that he is brilliant because he can even see ghosts. He thinks that he is because things like common sense are simply poisonous to revenge. The ghost continues to look at him calmly. He greets his older sister and tells her that the royal capital is in turmoil right now, and that the people are on the verge of rebelling against the princess due to suspicions about her. He adds that, on the contrary, those who believed in the princess are now in fear. He assumes that he is being hunted. He also says that several healers in the country are looking after Victoria, but her stomach is finished, and then he laughs. He then calmly says that he has put a barrier around the royal capital so that not a single mouse can escape. Besides the damn priest who sold the older sister, that man in the church, he killed him before the parade. He asks her if she understands that it was very exciting. He tells that he dressed up as a priest and surprised the princess. The princess's face at that moment was a real masterpiece. He thinks so. The ghost only listens to him. He tells about a priest. His name was Gustav. He lived in a huge luxurious mansion. What he got with money, he got unfairly. He was shocked that he survived. First, he fully revealed his true nature. The priest was shaking and crying without clothes. He asked what he wanted. Was it money? He would give him as much as he wanted. He had money that he stole from the believers. He says he will give him women too. With his status and influence, he can give him anything. So at least he asks to let him live. Raoul says he then brutally killed him after he shouted this, using the water ordeal punishment he loved. He tells his sister not to worry and that he is not doing this for her, not for his older sister. He smiles calmly. There are no just deeds, the word to have a sense of justice. He despises it with all his heart. He will definitely take revenge. Whatever happens, he will never forgive them. He will definitely kill every damn freak of these people. He will not show mercy anymore. The ghost leaves. Raoul also tells her that it is time for him to go. This is the beginning of the second act of this comedy. The action takes place in the Auerbach castle in the dungeon. Sandra's body hangs in chains. Princess Victoria stands before her and calls her good for nothing. She asks her why she didn't cut off her legs to protect her. She apologizes sincerely through the bandage. She hits her in the face and screams that her apology is not worth even a strand of her hair. Sandra coughs up blood. She continues to punish her. She begs for mercy. Princess Victoria demands silence, continuing to beat. She screams that since then she can't leave the castle, kill people, or do anything, as if she's cursed. If she can't die anymore, then let her keep squealing. She screams that stupid pigs should just grunt like they're supposed to. Victoria stops and breathes heavily. Sandra is covered in blood, unconscious and unable to even raise her head. She orders the knights to continue. One of them says that it is the hero's magic is in effect. He says that even if she tried to behead this criminal, her blade would not be able to reach her because it is like a barrier. She clutches her cane and orders them to seize the hero immediately. They obey her in fear and horror. She continues to scream, demanding that he be killed as soon as he is found, and then that his head be brought to her. At this time, a knight is riding a horse in the forest. On the way, he thinks that he is their only ally who can cross swords with the hero. He must give him this secret message quickly, otherwise. Then his horse starts to panic and doesn't obey him. Goblins come out of the bushes. The knight also panics and shouts that he doesn't have time to fight them. Then another huge goblin appears behind him with a bat with pins. The knight turns and realizes that it is the Goblin King. The Goblin King attacks, but the knight is protected by a man in important clothes who asks if he is okay. The knight recognizes who it is and addresses him as His Excellency. This stranger says that it seems that they, that is, the goblins, have tracked him here in a pack. He asks him to keep him close to him. This man kills all the goblins with one blow. The knight says with admiration how that's cool and that he killed so many in an instant. He says that he understands the knight is not wounded. The knight replies that he is not wounded and adds that it is not for nothing that he is considered the greatest swordsman in the country. The stranger turns around to him and says that he will no longer be prey to the goblins, so he is very happy. He has stubble on his chin and one eye is covered with an eye patch. There is a dinner party with the aristocracy. This stranger is dining with his family and turns to his sons, asking them to listen to him carefully. He says that he is going to the royal family tomorrow. One son asks that he must be going there to track down this resurrected hero. The second asks again if this is true. He smiles and says that news travels so fast. He says that a messenger arrived from the Imperial Guard camp this morning. It seems they want him to deal with the hero. The son says he expected nothing less from his father. He asks his father to kill the hero in the most merciless way in the world. They could fight together if it happened 6 months later. Nearby, the second son notes that this is another year for him. The father says that a year will pass in the blink of an eye. He also adds that he will bring home a new toy on his way back from the royal capital. He asks the younger to just focus on training with his older brother. The boys are delighted. His wife giggles and tells him that knowing him, he is really soft on Connie, his youngest son. Dad says it's just this once. He turns to Adam and says he looks forward to the day they can fight together. Adam rejoices along with his mother. Here they are disturbed. One of the servants asks him what needs to be done for the messenger's food. He thinks that it should be prepared. Nearby, another servant in a panic sincerely apologizes. He justifies him and says that this man just started working here, so father says that everything is fine. He says that he was worried about the royal capital, so he already left a minute ago. The food is no longer needed, so these two can leave. Then another maid comes to them and apologizes for making him wait, so here is the main dish. This master is happily waiting for this dish. The maid opens the lid of the dish. The master enjoys the aroma and says that it is irresistible. He says that after all, there is nothing better than eating this before a battle. In front of him is food of dubious origin. The boys say it's cute and they'd like to do that too. The father says they should hunt their own game. He hunted it himself today. He cuts off a piece and starts eating. The boys look at him greedily. He tries it and starts shouting that it is simply delicious. The master can almost feel the taste of victory coming from it. He thinks of the messenger and thanks him for his hard work. The next day, at the castle of Obrit in the northern fortress, the master on horseback says goodbye to the 7 owls and says that then he will go. He and the other knights gallop off, the boys waving after him and shouting a request to bring them the hero's head. The older brother tells the younger that then they too will hunt with a toy. They are in the forest. Blood is spilled, they run up. One says it's quite noisy because it's a kobold. The younger one says it's because the older brother is breaking his throat. Connie says that however, their father will bring them a new monster, so they don't need this one anymore. The little kobold starts to growl and attacks them. Connie asks her older brother to kill him quickly. Adam swings his weapon. The little kobold runs away in fear. The brothers say, does he really think he can escape them? Connie asks Adam to let him finish this. Adam attacks faster and hits the kobold, burning him and sending him falling to the ground. They approach him. The elder asks for forgiveness. Connie asks him again and asks if he can now. He allows him. Connie is happy and says that in that case he will kill him. Suddenly a man comes up to them and calls them stinking brats. He asks if they are playing with fire. He thinks it looks funny. Adam and Connie turn to him with fear in their eyes. Raoul stands next to them with a wide smile and asks them to let him join the two. This is the story of what happened a month before the wedding procession. All the knights at the gate ask the stranger to stand still. They explain that in a month there will be a parade in honor of the princess's wedding, so entry is strictly prohibited. Raoul is ordered to turn around and stomp out of here. One of the knights says that he has seen him somewhere before. Raoul smiles and playfully says, I wonder which one of them to choose. Then the knights realize that it is impossible because it is the hero Raoul. The knight is ready to swear that he is dead. Here everyone immediately surrounds him with their spears in the direction of Raoul. They discuss in horror whether this is a ghost. The second says that Raoul is angry because they killed all the women dear to him. The knights begin to laugh in his face and say how well those women from the village served them, and that it was unforgettable even though they threw their bodies into a pile of manure. Raoul smiles sweetly and says that any of them would be the perfect candidate to test his new powers. He then suggests they begin, then stamps his foot. At that very moment, sharp stone blocks simply pierce the knights' bodies. The remaining knights look at their comrades in horror. One starts screaming that they were just obeying the princess's orders if they hadn't used women. Then Raoul says that then he would slowly use him too. The boulder comes out right at him from behind. He starts screaming in pain and telling Raoul that he is a heretic. He just laughs and says that they are both heretics. Raoul is sitting on the grass by a tree, admiring the sky and saying what a nice weather it is. Then they shout at him that his father will not forgive him for this, so he should quickly untie the rope. Adam and Connie lie tied up next to him. Adam screams that he is General Brown's son. The little ones agree with him. Raoul asks if he is so energetic he would not want to dig holes with these guys. He points to the people, maids and servants who are actually digging holes. Raoul orders them to dig faster because the sun is already setting. Raoul tells the little ones that he is going to pay them a special favor after this, so for now they should just sit quietly and calmly. The little ones fall silent, and the servant shouts to Raoul what he has found. Raoul happily says that it is wonderful and accepts to watch. There are human bones in one of the pits. Raoul announces that this is correct and that for their game of digging bones Enrico is a groom, he earns 1 point in the leaders, so the rest should also try their best. The servant indignantly asks if that was all. Raoul grabs him by the hair and says that he told him not to lie. He asks, he knows that this is not enough. Raoul says how many people died in this castle. The servant trembles and asks him to let him go. Another servant says that some were found here too. Raoul points to the bones and tells the servant to look. It looks like there is some brutal evidence. They examine the bones. Raoul asks the servant if the general ate meat yesterday. He looks away and says he didn't. Raoul squeezes his head and repeats that he told him not to lie. Raoul tells everyone that he is fully aware that they made their money by taking these people apart and then cleaning up after them. No wonder the servants are just as rotten. Here Adam shouts that Raoul is only being insolent for a while. As soon as his father returns, he will soon send him to hell. Connie agrees with him. Raoul asks that they are quite confident. A silhouette comes out from behind the tree. While Raoul tells them not to worry, he already notified the general and asked him to come back, so he will be back soon. In the back, the mother is preparing her arrow and thinking that she is going to save the two of them right now. The poison arrow is strong enough to even kill the hero instantly, so the main course for tonight's dinner is decided. The arrow flies straight at him. The boys happily think that they expected nothing less from their mother. They won't even need their father to deal with such trash. Raoul smiles and says that it is time to untie the two of them, as it is time to pay them both the special favor he spoke of not long ago. The arrow that was flying straight at him is reflected off his head and flies straight back to his mother, penetrating her body. The boys look at their mother in horror. The boys all scream for their mother, and the lady coughs and suffers, foam and blood coming out of her mouth. Raoul says she is too vulnerable. The boys watch a horrific spectacle of their mother dying. Raoul turns to the children, who have snot and tears all over their faces, and says that perhaps he can make the two of them do their duty before their dad comes home. At this time, the general and his men are resting in the forest. He tells someone to give some water to the horses, then one of the knights notices something in the forest. He starts screaming in panic, asking what is going on here. The general stands up and asks what happened, what all the fuss is about. The knight points to the light and says that there is something strange there. The general sees first a large light and then someone's face. A ghost of a knight appears before them. They realize that it is the same messenger they killed yesterday. They scream in panic that it is a ghost. The general thinks to himself that this is absurd. The ghost begins to tell him to return right now. This ghost of a messenger with a smile and a softened expression says that the hero Raoul and his children are waiting for them. The general, shocked, asks again what he just said. Raoul exhales. He is still sitting by the tree and says that time flies when the day is full. All the servants are lying in the pit in front of him. Raoul says angrily that this is what they deserve. He says that after all, dark magic is really convenient. He can easily see a person's past. Spirits emerge from this mountain of corpses. One says, the order is ready. Others follow him and say that murder is the best thing. They believe that the owner is a great person. He gives gold for getting rid of corpses. They wonder when the next time they can kill is. Someone thinks it might become an obsession for him. Raoul hears everything and says that people are really dark. These commoners working in common jobs, these powerless weaklings, for whose salvation he risked his life. In their hearts are rooted rotten souls which gladly sacrifice others. He sighs and says that it seems like he had absolutely no idea about humans after all. He thought that what they were all doing here was a demon's specialty. It was all because of their master, originally speaking. Here this master approaches him in rage and anger. Raoul says that he came, what he expected. He wishes him well in his home. Right in the tree hangs the body of his wife in blood. Raoul, with a sense of his own superiority, says that they were waiting for him. The master screams in rage. Raoul smiles at this reaction. Raoul says that this is a magnificent piece of art. It is his son's masterpiece. He thinks they were quite skilled. The master screams that he is a scoundrel and draws his sword. He asks where he put his sons. Raoul asks him to calm down and, more importantly, to take a closer look. He says with a smile that there is something else. But then he attacks in rage. Raoul says that he throws cuts at him. He demands that he answer his question and attacks again. Raoul parries his blow again and asks him not to worry. He says that they are still alive, so let him watch anyway. He asks him if this scene reminds him of anything, for example, his hometown, the village of Baden. His sister's body was hanging on the tree just like that. A few years ago in the village of Baden, little Raoul was looking for something in the trees, and finally shouted that he had found it. He picks mushrooms and tells his older sister that he found mushrooms. His older sister shouts at him that he is right and that he did a fantastic job. At dinner, they both want to eat with great appetite, but then their mother comes and asks if they have washed their hands yet. This is the village of Baden, a small settlement located in the western part of the kingdom of Kurz. He was born and raised in this village and lived peacefully with his mother and older sister, a family of 3. Even that day they were enjoying life quietly like everyone else. They tried to catch rabbits. It turns out that a man is covered in blood. They recognize him and call him Uncle Hans. He says that the village was attacked. The boys come and see that the whole village is in flames. And coming closer, Raoul is horrified, looking at the body of his mother. Reinforcements arrive. This is the master. He asks if there are survivors. They are here to help. He says that he heard that some demons attacked, however. As soon as he sees the corpse of a woman, he says how cruel. He asks if this is their mother. Raoul's body begins to glow. The master understands what this light is and quickly approaches Raoul. It seems that at that time his resentment awakened heroic powers in him. The master tells him that this light is a sign that he is a hero. He says that he is sorry that he did not manage to get here before the demons attacked, and yet he is glad that he was able to save at least them. He asks why they do not go with them to the castle. He holds out his hand and says it's to defeat those vile demonic fiends. Raoul swallows. He shakes his hand. He arrived in the capital together with the general and began to undergo training in the royal capital as a hero. Just like that, without realizing that it was a path specially prepared for him according to the plans of the people. It turns out he's always had the wrong impression, especially about demons loving to set everything on fire. Demons devastate villages, demons take people's lives stupid. He naively believed everything their people said. He quotes him as saying that he doesn't want anyone else to experience such torment, that he must destroy all demons for the sake of humanity. He wondered what all of this was about. The general asks if it's just revenge for that time, then he says that Raoul is absolutely right. He is the one who burned his pathetic village to the ground. It was exciting, after all. It's rare that you get the chance to commit genocide on the orders of the king. However, he couldn't forgive himself for not being able to kill him. What part of a brat like him is a hero, even if he is? He screams that he is the strongest in the kingdom. He smiles creepily and says that he should be told what his mother tastes like. He says that she was amazing, covering for a guy who was on the verge of death. She begged for his life. She said that if he was going to kill someone, he should kill her. He should just let the baby go, she begged him. Having such a rare opportunity, he cooked it right in front of the child. And he thinks it was so good it was finger-licking good. Raoul asks him with a smile, so what? The general is surprised by his calm reaction. Raoul says that he could have been bored, but this story with food. He basically already knows all about it, so that's why he was able to repeat it like that. He sees his wife's corpse behind him. Also, he claims that he is the strongest despite the fact that he has continued to do it since then. He really doesn't get tired of it. The general goes on the attack, shouting that this is nonsense. If he did not have the title of hero, then he would be just a seedy youth. Raoul will never be able to compare with the strongest man, in the opinion of the general. The general declares that he will be judged right now. Raoul reflects that thoughts such as he is strong or the strongest are driving this man, then he understands what he must say. He calls him to him and suggests that they start lighting up. Raoul says his sons are chained in the dungeon of his estate. He can save them if he defeats him. The general says that is wonderful. He says that after he defeats him, he and his sons will feast, thanks to him. The general attacks, he retreats and says that the bloody murderers he has finally gathered everywhere. He does not hear him and shouts that he is finished, continuing to wave his sword. Raoul moves and sits on the blade of his sword, and says that there is no way in the world he would hit him with such a puny attack. The general is surprised. Raoul smiles and shouts that it is finally his turn. He draws his sword. The general attacks again. Raoul attacks back. The general grins, saying how weak his blow is. However, the next second, the general himself, from the weight of his blow, breaks through the ground. Raoul says that he is pinned to the ground, although he is trying with all his might. They push each other away abruptly. The general moves back to the tree and breathes heavily, barely holding his sword. Raoul asks with a smile if he is already out of breath. He suggests that he should just get it over with and notes that it was quick. He shouts in rage at Raoul not to look down on him, calling him a brat. He claims that he is the strongest. Raoul easily parries his blow. The general hits his body against the tree where his wife's body hangs. Raoul asks if he wasn't just bragging about his strength. The general coughs up blood and crawls towards Raoul. He says that they will never lose. Raoul looks at him in surprise. He leans towards him and asks what is going on. Can he still fight? Does he understand that he is already losing? He shouts that it is a joke. He is the strongest here. Raoul takes out a white flag and waves it, saying that this is a misfortune, then he has no choice. Raoul says to do everything possible because he will get to him in the blink of an eye. He calls him a brat and gets angry. The general stretches out his hand to sword. Raoul tells him to do everything possible several times and then disappears right in front of him. Raoul kicks him in the stomach, causing the general to spit blood and jump back even further. Raoul tells him that it's bad for him. He was so close. Let him try again. The general is still led, again and again crawling towards the sword. Raoul encourages him and tells him to give it his all. As soon as the general reaches the sword, Raoul pushes him away even further. Raoul says that it seems he has played too much. He thinks it is time for them to go to dinner. The general asks him through tears why he cannot defeat him, even if he is the strongest. Raoul smiles contentedly, uses magic and tells him to just pull himself together and accept it already. He completely destroys the general's sword with his magic. Raoul says that he lost to a mere brat, and now that he no longer has the sword, he will no longer need them. He talks about his hands and strips the general of them. The general screams in pain. Raoul says that he has prepared a very special dinner today. He is sure that he will like it too. He suggests that they go to the feast already. The general slowly opens his eyes. He is sitting at the same table with his children who have a dull look. Raoul asks the general if he is awake. Raoul puts on his chef's hat and says that he never thought that the general would faint from pain. The general sees Adam and Connie, but the children are just gesturing with their hands like zombies. The general realizes that he cannot move. The general addresses the hero, calling him a pig, and asks what he did to his sons. Raoul says that he simply copied them, the people. Raoul approaches the children and says that this drug was made in his wife's house. He found it in the basement when he was going to tie up his sons. Then he went to the basement with his sons. He wondered where he could throw these guys. When he went down, he heard groans and moans. He wondered what was going on here. The room looked like a dungeon. Servants were sitting behind the cages. The servants stretch out like zombies, drooling from their mouths, moaning unconscious. Raoul sees them and thinks that the people from the castle are unconscious. He asks the little children if their mother did this. The children only say in tears that she is dead. Raoul thinks how useless they are. He decides that he can leave them here. Suddenly, a bottle of liquid rolls to his foot. Raoul smiles seeing this. Raoul tells that his wife was developing a drug that is outrageous. He believes that his wife's family is producing healers. He plans to say hello to them family. If he wants to pass on something, he can count on him. General sends him, Raoul says, and will pass it on. He adds that the stove has heated up. Raoul shouts that then he will start the carnival feast right now. He says that the ingredients he has prepared for today. He shouts that these are 2 lambs and a bull. The general panics. Raoul does not hear and continues to say that to make sure they can enjoy the freshest meat. He pulls out a knife and decides to chop them up right there. The general begs him not to. First, he decides to make a roast out of the shoulder blades. The general screams in horror to stop. He shows a piece of meat and says that the butter looks creamy, proof that it is fresh. He suggests quickly sprinkling it with salt and pepper. The general groans in horror. Raoul starts frying the meat, then puts it on his plate and asks him to enjoy the meat medium rare. He puts the plates on the table of the general, who puffs in horror. Raoul says that he lost his hands, so he starts feeding him with his own hands the same meat. The general chews the meat. Raoul asks him how he likes it. It's delicious. He chews with difficulty and chokes. Raoul says that it will all be in vain if it spills. This is his favorite thing. He swallows. Raoul is surprised that he actually swallowed the thing. The general shouts that Raoul is a damned heretic. Raoul says didn't he mean himself? He's honestly stunned. He's just doing what he did to him. Raoul smiles and says that next comes the thigh and now the ribs, tripe and tongue. All the plates are eaten. He says he enjoyed the full course of sheep for his special dinner. Raoul says it's his son's turn now. Maybe he should feed him bull meat. He knows what he's talking about. Raoul asks which part he wants him to eat. He suggests starting with the shoulder. He cuts off the general's arm. Raoul fries the meat and says that they also have excellent meat here. He feeds this meat to his son. He eats the meat with great pleasure, wanting even more meat. Raoul laughs and tells the general to watch, like father, like son. He eats with absolute bliss. Here is the general who is puffing on the spot. He asks for mercy. The general shouts that if he is going to do this, he doesn't care about his younger son, at least his eldest son, his heir. Couldn't he at least let him and his son go? He begs him to forgive them. Raoul smiles and says that this is how his mother begged him to save her son's life. The general sobs, looking at him with frightened eyes. Raoul tells him to try to remember what happened to his mother's body, because now the same fate awaits him. Raoul puts a knife to his throat, and the general screams loudly, begging someone to save him. Night falls. Raoul sits by a tree and looks at the moon. The general's body lies in front of him. Raoul says that now that they are dead, the show is over. Bodies don't emit any feelings. The only ones who swallow their rage are those who take revenge while they're alive. He says that the demons of the assassin's castle have finally been destroyed, and he's also managed to find a handy souvenir. He's thinking about going to play with his next loot. National Research Pharmaceutical Institute at the Altman boarding house. Someone in the building is screaming what the villain is doing. He begs him to let him go and understands why he is doing it. Someone tells him that it's a good question. A man lies on a couch with his limbs tied. He is surrounded by all sorts of scientists. The woman says that she is interested in how many parts a person can afford to lose before they die. That's all she wants to know. This is researcher Dr. Rin Bennick. She admires the limbs and says what lovely legs they are. She decides to add them to her collection. She looks at the brain and asks what would happen if she replaced the human brain with a monkey brain. A little boy calls out to his mother and asks where she is. Rin looks at the boy's head and wonders what she would do with the child's brain. He continues calling for help from Mom. Rin says, will be exciting to liquefy it. In the same building, someone knocks on the door. Rin allows them to enter. A blonde man enters and asks for forgiveness, saying that he came here for waste. It is the military commander advisor Lucas Eckhart. Rin tells him that he came quite early. Lucas asks about the change in numbers. She replies that there are now 2 more bodies. Lucas opens the suitcase with the bodies of the corpses. Rin looks at it with great desire and is inspired. Lucas asks her if she is going to pay him extra for this. He adds that as long as she pays, he does not mind new bodies. Lucas asks her when the payment will happen. She sighs and says that he always asks about it. She assures him that she will definitely pay him today. Lucas smiles and says that it is because he cannot calm down until he hears her say it. Rin smiles and says that this Lucas Eckhart, the only thing on his mind is money. She thinks what a cunning man he is. A man approaches Rin with a request. Rin is surprised by the request to create immortal soldiers. The Institute's research director, Lord Da Costa, says that this way they won't die quickly from fighting one monster. The Lord asks if there's anything she can do. She asks if it won't be troublesome once they become immortal. He doesn't understand what she's talking about. She says no matter how immortal they are, once their body decomposes, they become trash. She asks what if they use a drug that will make them destroy themselves after a certain amount of time, after they increase the power of the samples and make them destroy the enemy, adding that they will make it curable. T shouts that this is a brilliant idea. He asks them to start development immediately. The Lord's son, whose name is Johans, comes in and asks them for forgiveness. Johans asks the nuns if the wounded soldiers are here. They tell him that they are here and they ask him why they came. He says that he is going to take them to the lab. He tells everyone to listen and announces that Dr. Bennick has developed a cure. At this point, all the wounded soldiers stand up hopeful. Johans shows the vial and says that this is a medicine that will cure any injury, no matter what. He also adds that he has enough for everyone. All the soldiers are happy. Johans tells them to try it now. The vials break, a bloodbath begins. Rin calls them those who eat people. The Lord looks and says how horrible it is. Rin says it looks like it will take some time, so she asks for more guinea pigs to be prepared for them. The Lord says that is very good, entrusts the matter to his son, and Johans asks to leave it to him. They are asked by innocent people if it is true that if they help them in their experiments, they will be able to live in a noble house. Rin says that it is true, and all they have to do is drink this drug. One boy hugs his older brother and shouts in joy that he can finally afford to eat bread. Rin says it's time to start the experiment. Everything starts over again. Rin says it's not good because they become human too quickly. She asks for the next ones. A bunch of people stand before the Lord and ask if they don't need to pay him back. He assures them that they don't need to, not a single cent that he lent them. The Lord asks them what they have decided, whether they will help them. The people happily agree. The Lord and his son smile bloodthirstily. In the end, the experiment is repeated again. Rin says that the power is satisfactory. Lord looks and asks, is it all good after all? Rin says that the positivity is satisfactory. Suddenly they see something and think, did it really work? Rin shouts that finally. She says that this is the birth of Berserker. The Lord says that she did it. He suggests that this drug be given to these worthless soldiers immediately. There are some little guys walking down the street. One says that transporting goods in the village of Nor is their job. Someone else says that Raoul is currently fighting on the front lines. Maybe they can be useful to him as supply soldiers. They are happy that they will finally be able to repay him for saving them in the slums. Here Johans says that they have reached a resting place halfway. He asks them to let go of their load. He tells them that they will go through the forest, but there are many monsters in it, so it will be dangerous. So that they can protect themselves, he wants them all to take this drug. Back to the present day, it is raining and Raoul is sitting on the roof of the building and says that it is time to start an exciting and thrilling game. National Research Pharmaceutical Institute at the Altman boarding house. There is heavy rain and thunder outside. Inside the building, someone is walking back and forth in panic. This Lord says that this is just ridiculous. He couldn't even imagine that his daughter's family would be killed. He talks about the damned Ernst. He used to boast about his strength, but what was he doing there? He says that if they transport the soldiers from this research institute to the royal capital, how many do they think they will lose if something happens? In front of him sit Rin, Johans, and Lucas. The son agrees with him and suggests calling the military commander to send them soldiers. He does not want to be killed like his younger sister. Then Rin says that there is no need to be afraid. She says that as long as they have her poison, even if a hero appears, he will not be able to harm them. Johans asks how she is going to poison the hero. She asks him if he can at least think with his head a little. Johans asks her if she is laughing at him. The Lord gets angry and yells at them that now is the time to argue with each other. Lucas asks everyone to calm down. He suggests thinking about everything calmly. The Lord thinks that this is the only person who was sent to protect them. Johans whispers that there are rumors that he is so skilled that it is easier to send him to the battlefield than 200 soldiers. Lucas shows the piece of paper and says that this is the warning letter they received from the royal capital that finally clears up this situation. All three turn to him. Lucas asks them if they know about this so-called revenge that the hero spoke of. Rin says that of course not. Johan screams in panic that this can't be. Is he really trying to take revenge for? Rin shuts him up. The blonde man starts to suspect there seems to be some circumstances. Johans trembles and says that the truth is. Rin asks him to stop. Rin screams that there is no justification for the hero's actions. This traitor has simply gone mad. The Lord asks her to shut up if the hero heard such words. He gets scared. This blonde man says that no, it is as Dr. Bennick said. The hero is a great fool who is stupid and ignorant of the customs of this world. He says that even if he has become a killer bent on revenge, there is no need to fear him. He finally asks them openly what they did. There is silence. He sighs and says that if they don't speak openly, he won't be able to protect them. The Lord says perhaps it is connected with the drug that was prescribed to soldiers during the war. Johans shouts and so on that it was top secret. He asks Johans to calm down, he said before they have him. Lord understands and says that he doesn't just say these words, he replies that it's natural. The blonde says that people like the general are, so to speak, people of brute force. He is perhaps the only one who could be on par with the hero. The Lord remembers the rumors from Johans, smiles, and says that then he is counting on him. He tells him to put it on him. He is looking forward to the reward. The Lord promises that he will pay him with anything. Suddenly, a scary silhouette appears right behind the blonde, and everyone turns around in horror. They see the skull of a zombie general who has no flesh, only bones. Johans and Rin scream in horror, recognizing the general. Johans covers his ears. Rin asks Lucas to hurry up and send him away. Lucas asks to wait because the zombie is trying to say something. The zombie general says that they have all been locked inside the research facility. None of the 231 people inside the building will be able to leave. Only those who manage to escape before midnight will be allowed to leave. He announces that a game of hide and seek will begin. She tells them the game will start in 10 minutes. He asks them to run or hide or fight as long as they can. The general disappears or falls. Johans goes to his daddy and hugs him out of fear, and the Lord asks him not to hang on him. Rin says he's just controlling the corpse with magic. Lucas says that's what it looks like. He tells the others that the enemy expects them to be confused. The Lord shouts that he understands that perfectly well. Lucas says that if they understand this, then they should quickly tell him what they did to incur the hero's wrath. Lucas says that he has always followed the rule of an eye for an eye. He believes that this time is the same. He says that they mentioned that they prescribed the drug to the soldiers. He asks if they really killed them. They were the hero's favorites. Lord says they simply prescribed a performance-enhancing drug they developed at this research institute to his supply soldiers. That's all. He yells that their deaths are a side effect. They were worthless pawns anyway. Wouldn't they call them a minor loss? The son agrees and yells that besides, they managed to destroy all the monsters in the forest. Rin says that if it weren't for her drug, small fry like them would have died in vain, so they should be grateful. Lucas asks them if the drug is protected at this institute, and everyone's heart skips a beat. Johans shouts that this is a disaster. If this drug was stolen, this research institute will turn into a haunted house. Lucas asks him again. He says he will hear the details later. He asks them to show him immediately where the drug is stored. Rin shows. Lord asks them not to leave him like that. They are hurrying in some direction. The Lord is out of breath. Lucas asks them what they meant by ghosts just now. Isn't it just a performance-enhancing drug? Johans is afraid to answer. The Lord says there is no way they can tell him. It is top secret. Lucas is disappointed that they are still saying such things at this point in time. They approach the storeroom. Lucas asks if this is the room. Rin confirms. The Lord walks quickly behind them and asks them to wait. Lucas inserts the key and opens the doors. As soon as they enter, they see only empty shelves. On one shelf, there is a note saying that it is a pity, because whoever got there first ate them, drawing their faces on a piece of paper. The Lord shouts that he is making fools out of them. Rin says that it is dangerous for them to stay here. Rin opens the window and says that they need to get outside quickly. Then she is pushed away from the door by magic. She starts screaming that it's dark magic. The Lord asks if they really have no other way to escape. Raoul walks along, followed by the general's zombie. Raoul is glad that he made the right choice in taking the general along. He's carrying these heavy vials for him, so he's very useful. He walks in and sees some scientists panicking about telling everyone about this. Raoul tells them that soon it will be time for games. Two scientists scream in fear and run away from them. One asks what about the other three. The second says to forget about them and adds that the conference room is on the top floor. They will not have enough time to run there. Here Raoul announces to everyone that it is finally time for the game to begin. He invites everyone to play. He gives the command to the general. The zombies begin to attack. All the scientists run away in horror. The general catches them all with one movement. Raoul says that he is very rude. Let him leave them alive and put them in a pile somewhere there. He takes them and lays out living bodies on top of each other. Raoul approaches them. One scientist asks to help them. They will do anything. Raoul smiles and says that it is wonderful. There is something he needs help with. Oh, they don't care what for, they'll do anything. Raoul says he has some medicine lying around. He asks if he can drink it. The scientist immediately understands what he is talking about. Raoul grabs him roughly by the jaw. He opens his mouth. He pours this liquid into it. The scientist instantly turns into a monster. Raoul smiles when he sees this and says that's what happens. The monster screams over and over again about his throat. Raoul tells him that he feels very thirsty after turning into a berserker. The monster punches the wall with his hand. Raoul says what an absurd power this is. The other scientists are afraid and say that he has turned into a berserker, so they must run. Here the general grabs them by the collar and warns them that they can't escape. Raoul smiles and says that it looks like this place is crawling with monsters. The one remaining monster thinks that he still has a chance. However, he freezes in place because someone's tongue touches his face. The huge berserker monster stands right in front of him and says that he wants water. The monster suddenly grabs the scientist in his huge hand and begins to press, so much so that he suffocates and asks for help with his last strength. Then Raoul steps in and rips the monster's arm apart. The scientist falls. Raoul kindly asks him how he feels. The scientists are perplexed but look at him happily. Raoul tells Berserker that he doesn't have to kill them since he will have all the researchers. The scientists sigh in relief, but Raoul also grabs one by the jaw. He pours the drug into his mouth and asks him to take it too. The other scientists watch in complete shock. Later, Raoul asks them that he should have dressed as a nurse. He asks the general if he thinks so. Of berserkers in front of him, he thinks there were 121 people on the first floor. He says how terrible it is. Everyone asks him for water. Here one berserker raises his hand against the general. Raoul tells him to be careful, but he doesn't have hands. Therefore, berserker crushed the general with ease. The monsters ask for water again and again. Raoul sees the blood on himself and says how disgusted he is. He shouts to the berserkers that this concerns him. He has only found himself a useful assistant. He tells the general's body that he did a good job, but it's a pity it didn't last long. He could have sworn he was one of the 5 strongest beings in this country. He didn't think the effect of the drug was so great. They were quite strong. He promises that he will take good care of them, and now they go off to play. He runs away from the berserkers. He jumps and lands on one of them. One monster reaches out to him. Raoul kicks him in the head and tells him how naughty he is. He uses magic and decapitates the monster, saying that this is his punishment. Everyone still wants water. Raoul says that he is dirty again. Everyone reaches out their hands to him. Raoul uses magic and asks what it's like to drink the very drug that they guys made. And since they finally have a chance, he'll play with them until the end. He and one berserker move away from the others, covering them with a barrier. He takes it off him. This monster pulls a lock of Raoul's hair with interest. Raoul sends him to the others, thanking him for his services. He looks at his watch and says that there are about 5 minutes left. In this state, these magnificent researchers are no different from animals. He has carefully studied their misdeeds beforehand. They are crazy about risking their lives on the battlefield themselves. He is sure that all they have is a pitiful intellect that cannot imagine being treated as expendable. They said that soldiers were just pawns for them, the strategists, so it would be a shame if they were unusually smart. Let those useless soldiers die for them. The outcome of the battle is not decided at the front. They, the geniuses, are the ones who bring victory. Every single one of the 231 researchers who worked at this research institute was bad. One said that they would make their country prosperous. Their kingdom of Curie would become the ruler of the world with the completion of this medicine. Despite the fact that there were 231 people working here, not one of them had a decent soul. Anyone with less intelligence than them must die for being useless. This is the height of elitism. Raoul wonders if this is what humans are after all, or if the citizens have gone mad as a result of constant war. He says that either way, he doesn't care. He will just continue on his path of revenge. He announces that it is time now. The monsters scream in rage. One of them even deprived himself of his head and screams that it hurts. Raoul says how sweet it is. This is the best. Let him show him more pain. For this purpose, the drug undergoes its first transformation immediately after ingestion. The second, 10 minutes after ingestion, and then, 15 minutes after ingestion, they are intended for self-destruction. Raoul sees all this and tells the guys that they are the best, laughing heartily. He thinks it's great. He takes a breath after laughing and says, "Isn't that great, really?" He remembers those supply soldiers who volunteered to join their army out of admiration for them. They thanked him for saving them. These are the supply soldiers who carry supplies to a safe camp away from the front lines. He desperately mowed down the monsters on the front lines so that they would not be harmed. However, the enemy was not at the forefront but among them. They turned into berserkers only to test the effect of the drug and died in vain. They said that it was they, the geniuses, who brought victories. It seems they said so. Raoul thinks how stupid this is in his opinion. The only reason they can fight with just their brains is because they have soldiers to keep them safe on the battlefield. He looks at the berserkers who destroyed themselves. He says it happened as soon as their home turned into a battlefield. He dusts himself off and says it turned out pretty well. He grabs a cart of drugs and says that when he's done here, he'll quickly call 110 people from the second floor to drink it too, and then go to the top floor for a medical examination. Someone moans and screams in pain. Raoul says that this is the order, then he will change it into something else. He seals the doors. This happens at the Institute. In the same building, someone is shouting, which is becoming funny. If they bring soldiers from this research institute to the royal capital, how much do they think they will lose if something happens? Johannes tells his father that this is true. He suggests calling the military commander to send them soldiers. He does not want to be killed like his little sister. Lucas says that there is no need to be afraid. As long as they have his poison, even if the hero appears, he will not be able to harm them. They ask how he plans to poison the hero. Johannes is asked again if he can at least think with his head a little. He is again indignant. Are they really laughing at him? The Lord again shouts that now is not the time for the two of them to argue with each other. At this time, Raoul is watching them. He thinks he wants to laugh until he falls. He hears Lucas asking them to calm down and think about it calmly. He talks about the warning letter they received from the royal capital, finally making this situation clear. Raoul thinks he should calm down. Raoul thinks that they have been silently waiting for him here for 2 hours, without even noticing that they were locked in. He thinks that at least the experience will be colorful with his illusion magic. Well, with that said, it's time for the main event on the top floor. He snaps his fingers. It's time to play hide and seek. He sees them get scared and enjoys their reaction. The real general was crushed already on the first floor, so he did it from pieces of his flesh earlier, but it seems to have worked out well. He remembers the mask he's wearing now, which was also made from pieces of his flesh. That reconstruction felt great, and since the game had started, he would enjoy everything they did. Someone shouts that if the drug was stolen, the research institute will become a haunted house. Lucas says he will hear the details later. He asks to be shown immediately where the drug is stored. They go into that closet and see a note. Raoul laughs and says to himself that it's a shame. He stole the drug shortly after arriving at this research institute. He had already used it on the lower floors. It was useless to go outside. Let them hide only inside this research institute. He asks what they will do. He hears their panic that they will not be able to escape. Johannes says that they must hurry and hide. Someone shouts that they need to find a place to hide. Raoul is in anticipation of who will be first. The Lord suggests that everyone lock the doors first. Johannes says that he said he would let them go if they managed to get out of here by midnight. Lucas asks them if they really believed this, especially since there are still at least 6 hours ahead. Johannes shouts that even if it is, hiding is the most useless option in the end. Rin asks why they don't go to a room that the hero can't find. Lucas asks her if they have such a room. Rin confirms this. Lord asks if it is true, let her show where she is. Lucas asks them to calm down. Rin thinks what kind of fools they are despite the obvious signs. Then Lucas asks if maybe they should have some coffee. Johannes yells that now is not the time for this. Rin agrees and says that she would like to take a break before they leave. He asks to let her brew it. Oh opens it and walks into the room. She looks at the dishes and thinks that in any case she's glad they're idiots, because thanks to them she has a chance to escape. She makes tea and tells them to enjoy. Johannes happily takes the cup. Lucas thanks her too. They drink tea. The Lord says that he has calmed down a little. Here Lucas asks to wait a minute and asks Rin if they can exchange cups. Rin smiles and asks why. Lucas says there is a chance she added something inside. He finds it very curious that she took the initiative to prepare it for them. Especially in a situation like this, inside an institute studying a drug that turns people into monsters. The Lord and his son immediately spit everything out. Lucas says that trying to drug them to turn them into monsters to fight the hero, knowing her, maybe she thought about it. Rin says that in that case, he should have stopped her sooner. She openly says that she did not put poison in any of their cups. The Lord and his son are surprised. How could it be in any of their cups? It can't be. Johans asks to wait a minute. Rin thinks to herself that this is the most wonderful feeling. Lucas also asks her to explain what it means. Rin thinks to herself that her plan is perfect. She tells Lucas that he should have been more restrained, why not stop his act? They don't understand what's going on at all. Rin says they were deceived all the time, this conversation in the conference room that he always sticks to revenge. How did he know that? She says that such a thing would not be written on a letter from the royal capital. It seems that he understands the hero's feelings well. She tells him that Lucas is trying to become that person completely. Yet he talks too much, his words have become his downfall. She asks him if he doesn't have enough already and then makes another mistake by calling him the hero Raoul. She starts laughing and screaming how terrible it is, because in the end, the one who is smarter wins. Silence falls. Lucas starts clapping for her and then slowly moves closer to her. He congratulates Dr. Rin and says it would be sad if no one noticed, so he dropped the hint. He asks her if she thinks it was too easy. Rin starts to panic and yells that he is acting like he has the right to speak. She states that he lost the game of hide and seek, so he will die here at the hands of these monsters. She points to the Lord and his son. They are horrified and Rin smiles. She tells them that in a minute they will turn into berserkers and the drug has been redesigned this time. Now it is at least 100 times more powerful than before. Rin starts laughing loudly and asks him what it's like to be a loser. Lucas asks if that's all. Rin is shocked and doesn't understand. Lucas says that this can't be the end of her calculations. Rin yells that it's sad to see him acting like a complete loser. Lucas says that's not what he meant. Rin wonders what he's talking about. She shouldn't let him deceive her. He must be trying to buy himself some time. Rin smirks and calls him a fool, saying that there is no point in dragging it out any longer. The Lord and his son are horrified. Rin smiles and realizes that it is too late. She says she is sorry and warns the hero Raoul to regret not accepting defeat like a good boy. She orders the berserkers to finish him off immediately. Nothing happens, something drips onto the floor, it's the Lord's sweat. Rin wonders why they don't change. She keeps wondering why they don't change. She's already proven it with numerous experiments. She can swear that anyone will turn into a berserker within 5 minutes of taking the drug. She can swear that the drug she made was flawless. Lucas smiles and tells Rinna that it's too bad, no matter how many hours pass, they won't change. After all, this drug only works on living people. Dr. Rin is shocked, saying that being consumed by the feeling of victory from solving a puzzle that could only fool children, despite him thinking she was smarter, has disappointed him. Lucas is changing his appearance, that's true. Raoul tells her that she lost this game of hide and seek. Rin looks at the Lord and is horrified. They really are not alive. Raoul says he simply made them look alive using illusion magic. By the time they got to the conference room, they were already corpses. Raoul smiles and says it was hard to manipulate and disguise these two, but he had fun. Rin falls to the floor, exhausted. Raoul says that she guessed about him, however. She thought that among the 4 of them there was only one enemy. He apologizes and says that she was all alone surrounded by enemies. He starts laughing because she even yelled at them to finish him off. She should have at least made sure they turned into monsters first before giving the order. He laughs that now his stomach hurts. He asks her how she feels about it. Does she feel like a failure now? Rin starts to cry. Raoul tells her that her secret weapon was wasted. He asks her not to cry. He has prepared a place for her to conduct her favorite experiments. He grabs her by the chin and invites her to have some fun together. They walk through the building. She screams, "What is this? She can't see anything." He says that he has prepared a surprise for her. She screams at him to let him go. Raoul tells her it's only because she's resisting, even though they humans do terrible things too. They go down the stairs. Raoul says how many people they killed to get enough guinea pigs for their drug and to satisfy their curiosity. Rin screams that he is wrong and that he got it all wrong. That was not her intention, she was just following orders. Raoul says that's it, that's what Lord D. Acost and Johans told him when he was going to kill them. They said it had nothing to do with them, it was all the doctor's doing. Rin screams at them for being liars. He asks, but isn't it true that the doctor came up with this great idea and then the 2 of them jumped on board? In any case, the 2 are already dead, so there's no point in blaming them for the crimes. He nudges her and tells her they're starting. She falls on the blood and asks if that's water. Raoul says that before she tries her favorite experiment, she should take a look at this first. He uses magic to free her eyes, and she lies among a mountain of berserker corpses. Raoul says that these are the remains of their research. Rin starts shaking. Raoul asks why she is so shocked, even though she did all this herself. She starts to get up and crawl on them. Raoul says he believes she can reach the underground lab at the end of the hallway. He adds that since he doesn't get a chance like this every day, he suggests watching her swim there. She still resists and continues to pass. He tells her to be faster because her favorite experiment is waiting. On the first floor of the laboratory, Rin sits and trembles with horror. Raoul asks if that's enough to scare her, even though she turns people into weapons. He says with a smile that despite the fact that she has killed dozens of people in this lab, she asks what she is talking about. He describes experimenting on a crying and screaming girl, starting from her feet, transplanting monkey brains into children. He asks if it is true that she treated many people like guinea pigs. She stands up and screams that it is a lie and that she did not do it. Raoul says it's amazing to say something like that at this point in time. She yells if he has any evidence, unverified facts mean nothing. Then he grabs her by the head and says that this is not necessary. He says that if she can't remember, does she want him to show her more? At this point, she can't take it anymore and begs him to stop, admitting that she did it all. She adds that she didn't do it of her own free will. Raoul says that she's just an evil loser, letting go of her head. She continues to scream that it was not she who sent those soldiers to their deaths, that she had no choice but to obey orders. She insists through her tears that this is true. She screams that it is because the neighboring villagers chased them away back then. It is their fault. She is sure that they would have survived if they had just drunk some water. Raoul smiles and says that she already knows that. Rin looks at him in surprise, not understanding him. As the doctor said, there was a chance to save the lives of the soldiers who had turned into monsters. The drug's effect lasts for 15 minutes. If they had drunk water during this time, they might have survived, so they immediately sought help from a nearby village. In the forest near the village, the monsters had already been defeated by them. The village should have been safe by now. However, the villagers drove them away, telling them to leave because they had no water for strangers. Rin yells at him that then shouldn't he take revenge on the villagers. He smiles and says that she is right. Rin begins to smile and hope. He sees that the light of hope has settled in those eyes of despair. She found mercy in his words and gave a face that looked like she was desperately holding on to that thread, and this is the moment when he mercilessly cuts that thread. He is simply irresistible. He tells her that he too will take revenge on the villagers. She doesn't understand in what sense either. Raoul turns away and suggests that they stop chatting. He says that this is her favorite experiment, which she has been waiting for so long. From now on, he will begin an experiment on people on his test subject, Rina Benek. The berserkers come out. Raoul points at them and says that these are the doctors in charge. He throws on a robe and says that he didn't have time to get dressed last time. He says it's time to start the endless experiment. She screams to stop and not to come near her. The berserkers grab her from behind. Raoul looks at her with satisfaction and says that it looks like she is healthy enough to scream. He is sure that then she will be able to endure it. She continues to scream, asking to let her go. They sit her down in a chair. Raoul says that how long she lives will depend on her, so let her do everything in her power. She asks him in horror what he wants. He shows a cabinet with liquid and says that she should know this better than anyone. He asks these are poisons, so it will be an experiment on people with her favorite poisons. He approaches her and orders her to drink to the last drop, putting a bottle of poison in her mouth. She swallows it all. Raoul says it's a good job. Rin coughs heavily. He asks what it tastes like and she starts vomiting. She starts screaming, talking about her throat. Raoul asks her what effect this poison has. Rin, in shock, begins to scream and deny everything. Steam begins to come from her feet, as if she were passing gas. Raoul tells her that it stinks so much that she keeps blushing and sweating. She screams about the restroom and asks to be let into the restroom. Raoul smiles and says that now it is approaching from behind. Then she begins to release all the excess from her body. There are two berserkers standing behind. Raoul covers his nose and asks if she's joking and that not only is it awful, she just let out a huge fart. She is breathing heavily, twitching in her chair and begging him to help her. She screams that her stomach hurts and that she is dying. Here she starts to let everything out of her mouth. Raoul says that it is quite terrible both from above and from below. She breathes heavily and begs him, asks him to stop. Raoul sighs and says that he probably has no choice. It strengthens her organs, but only for a while. The pain and suffering will remain the same. But if the doctor wants, he can give her an antidote to drink. He tells her that, however, she must make it herself. Rin looks at him with horror after a little hope. Raoul says it must be a piece of pie, even though she's vomiting blood, her hands are shaking and her eyes are blurry. He asks to see it, what this brilliant doctor will come up with. Rin sits on a chair with a look of horror. Rin screams that it's impossible in this condition. Raoul smiles and says that if she doesn't hurry, she won't be able to move. He uses magic. Here she crawls over to the chair and promises that she won't die. Raoul looks and grins. Berserkers standing next to him, they can hear her gasping for breath. She starts mixing potions, trying to remember everything. In the process, she starts vomiting. Raoul looks on and says it looks like she'll have to do it again. He asks her to do everything she can. Rin, shaking, declares that she will never die. She, along with shortness of breath, continues to develop an antidote. She finally screams that she did it. She swallows the antidote and declares herself victorious. Raoul claps for her and says it's wonderful as always. It was a great job. He thinks she's a real talent. Rin shouts that it seems like he understands everything now. That's it. No one can beat her in intelligence. Raoul congratulates her and suggests moving on to the second round. Rin wonders what second round. He assures her that he told her so. He says this is the beginning of an endless experiment. Did she really think he would let her escape alive? She starts screaming. Didn't he say that if she could handle it, she could last longer? Didn't he say that? Raoul smiles and says that she managed to live a little longer. Isn't that so? Through her own efforts. He suggests moving on. The berserkers grab her again, and she continues to scream and resist while Raoul uses his magic. He takes out a pen and says that he will clearly write down the results. He wishes her to enjoy experiments on people to the depths of her soul. Rennie begs him to forgive her. She promises that she will do everything, swears and begs him. She asks her for forgiveness 1,000 times. Raoul says it's a shame, no matter how much she apologizes, the dead can't hear her. It all continues and repeats itself 21 times. At the end, her skin changes. She says in horror that her skin is itchy. Raoul says it looks like she overdosed on the drugs. She falls down and screams that her body is itching. She asks for help. She continues to scratch. Raoul smiles and tells her to make the antidote again, to do everything she can. She is already lying on the 41st circle and asks to stop because she can't do it anymore. She has no strength. Raoul asks if she knows that this is only the 41st. After all, for every dead person you need to drink a glass. He tugs her hair, lifts her off the floor and tells her to try harder. She groans in pain. He pours the antidote into her mouth. She doesn't react at all and starts vomiting. Raoul says it's disgusting. There are bottles of antidotes on the floor. She starts to say that she wants to live. Raoul smiles and says that in that case she needs to hurry up and make an antidote. He tugs and tells her to try. He asks worriedly if she can't get up. Maybe he has no choice. He suggests continuing. He injects her with the 40-second antidote. He reaches into his pocket. She continues to lie unconscious. He checks her pulse, looks at the time and writes down that at 5:31 p.m. Dr. Rin Bennick died. He closes his notebook and says that her untimely death is the saddest thing. This is where the story of revenge on a madman ends. At his click, the two berserkers disappear. He throws off his robe and walks out of the building. It is still night. He looks at the moon and says that it looks like the rain has stopped. He rubs his hands and says how nice the night smells after the rain. Maybe it's because it was too strong. He says that now he will probably take his horse and head to his next destination. He thinks about that very village, goes forward to those sinful demons. He promises that he will show no mercy. On a dark night in the forest, a stranger in a dark cloak walks with an old lantern. Numerous crows caw in the sky. Someone screams and there it is, the monster. A boy chases another boy. One says he will protect this village. A girl tells them it is time to go home because the sun is already setting. Both boys listen to their mother and ask where their father is. She answers that he is on night guard. The man is sitting. Strange girls approach the gate and ask if there is anyone there. The man guarding the village hears them. A girl with a little girl asks them for forgiveness and says that they are lost in the forest. She asks if they could help them. The man realizes that these are lost children. He tells them to go through. The girl thanks him and says that they will not stay long. The man says that they should not be so shy. Their village is right next to the border. There are many people passing through here. Refugees, travelers, traders. He asks them to just calm down. The man comes to the family and says he is home. The girl calls him darling and asks if he is home too early. The girl behind apologizes. The girl serves food, puts plates for them, and asks what the children forgot so deep in the forest. The girl says that their father was sick, so they were heading to town to sell goods but ended up getting lost. The man says that they are so smart, so young, it must be hard for them. His wife tells them not to be afraid of them. She looks and thinks that the little girl is the same age as her children. The older sister says about the little one that she is a little afraid of strangers, and strokes her head. The eldest says she was worried about her, so she followed her, even though she tried to send her back home. The adults admire her. They say what a good girl she is, caring so much about her older sister. Here one of the sons shouts that you never know when monsters will attack. The elder sister says that she heard that there have been a lot of strange monsters in the area lately. Oh, she asks if everything is okay in the village. The man replies that the village is completely safe. A little boy with freckles says that if any beast comes near, he will send it straight to hell with this dagger. The man laughs and says that as they see they have a reliable night since they are here, let them rest a little. The older sister says that she and her little sister are very grateful to them. She rummages in the bag. She says that as a gift, She is giving them the main product of their town perfume made from flowers that they grew at home. The wife says how wonderful. The man tells them that it is late, so let them stay the night. The girl says with a smile that in that case they will take them up on their offer. The wife asks them not to be shy, they were just about to have dinner. She sets a rich table with all sorts of delicious things. The children are delighted. The girls gobble it up with great appetite. Another old man with long hair and a beard is sitting on guard duty. The guy comes up to him and says that even the head of the village is guarding the gate, which means they have guests. The old man smiles and says that it looks like it will be a fun night. Night falls. The girls are sleeping on the bed. The eldest one wakes up from a rustling sound. She looks at her little sister. She sees herself dying in tears because someone's hands are strangling her. She is about to scream in horror. But then the man covers her mouth and says that everything could have ended faster if she had only continued to sleep. In front of them stands a husband and wife, and with them the old man. The old man asks her forgiveness and says that this is their way of life. They are both out of breath. After this, they begin to look through their bag and the spirits are pulled out one by one. One is indignant. Is this really all they took with them? He considers it a pitiful sight. The man says that since they are children, he did not expect much from them, but it is truly sad. He says that this perfume has a very weak scent. They will only get a pittance for it. They think that she will get the most if they sell their hair for wigs. The girls lie bald without hair and without clothes. So they finished digging the whole village gathered there. The men are standing with shovels, one is holding a sack. The next day, the little son shouts to his dad that it is already 7 o'clock, so it is time for him to get to work. He thanks his son. The brother suggests playing pirates. The boy agrees and says that then he will be the navigator. They go outside and their father tells them to be careful out there. The husband tells his wife that this ribbon suits her very well. She thanks him and suggests that he try again today. The husband goes to the gate and tells the other that there will be a changing of the guard. Then someone knocks and asks if there is anyone there. The men are surprised. He asks if he thinks it's a bit early today. He opens it and asks what it is. Here they see the face of the little girl who was killed. They stand in shock. The girl asks where her older sister is. She starts to say that they were separated. The man, horrified, asks her why she is alive. She smiles and asks why they ask such a question. At that moment the gate breaks. The men fly away from the gate. They are horrified and don't understand what it is. Raoul appears in front of them and says that they treated them well. The man asks who he is. Raoul asks if they haven't heard rumors that the former hero, who should be resting in the ground, has returned to life and appeared before the princess. Someone from behind wanted to attack him, but Raoul easily stops him with the help of magic. Raoul smiles and says that he is taking his revenge on everyone. The man shouts that this can happen. Raoul smiles and says that he is the former hero Raoul, also known as the traitor of the kingdom. The man asks him why the former hero has come to such a place. The entire village has gathered before him. Raoul asks if they don't know or if they are confused because they know too much. Then the chief comes out and asks what business brought the famous hero to such a distant village. T is surprised that the hero came out to them. Raoul smiles and says that about a year ago, strange monsters appeared nearby. The chief says that he is not sure. Even though the village is located in the wilderness, its main advantage is that it has always been peaceful here. Raoul believes that they have already forgotten about everything due to their age. In that case, he asks to allow them to remind him. Here he uses magic and moves in time to defeat the demon lord. The heroes run, breathing heavily as if looking for something. One of them says that they are too late. They arrive at the site, and there are only torn-off body parts of people scattered all over the area. Raoul shouts that he is sure that someone is still alive. He assures that if anyone survived, they will save him. Some monster is killing people by gouging out their heads. Another monster tells the killer not to kill too much because it is a valuable commodity. The little boys sit hugging each other in fear, bursting into tears. The monster says that there are so many of them, it doesn't matter if a couple of them die. One brother tells the other not to look at them. They both close their eyes. The monster gets angry and picks up one of them, saying that you can't do that. When his dear friends die, he must watch carefully. The boy calls his brother. He says that if he's not going to use his eyes, then he doesn't need them. Everyone freezes in horror. The elder asks him to stop. However, the monster still gouged out his eyes with his fingers. Sobs and screams of pain begin. One of them begs him to stop. He begs him to at least spare his life. The monster smiles and says that he is now damaged goods. The monster lifts the boy up, holding him by the head, and says that they won't be able to sell him like that. He presses on his head. The elder continues to beg him. The monster wants to get rid of him. Then Raoul appears from behind and orders him to be let go. He turns around. He recognizes the hero Raoul, who tells him again to let him go. He begins to resist. Raoul cannot stand it and kills the monster, agreeing that in this case he will kill him. He catches the little boy and tells him to hold on, they will help him now. Other heroes come up from behind and say that they have dealt with the rest. He asks Christiana to heal him, she obeys. Someone calls a little boy Teddy. Raoul turns around to see numerous boys crying and watching him closely. The hero joins his palms. Raoul looks around the entire village. Finally, he turns to the girl and asks what is wrong with him. She replies that everything is sad. She says it's too late, so his eyes can't be restored. Raoul smiles sadly and the sobbing begins. Raoul says he has learned that demons are targeting children from distant villages. Christiane bandages Teddy's eyes. Raoul apologizes for being late. One of the boys starts swearing, even though he is a hero, why didn't they come earlier? He cries and says that if they were as strong as they are, they could save everyone. He keeps screaming, tells about the past. Raoul doesn't answer. The boy states that they were able to survive only thanks to their joint efforts. Teddy tells his brother that they were all attacked by monsters in their own villages and they all lost their parents. T says that despite all this, they somehow managed to survive. He doesn't understand why they have to watch their loved ones die. He hugs his brother and screams that he doesn't want to hear anything from the Chosen One, the one with special powers. Raoul sits down and says that he, too, doesn't understand what they're talking about. Raoul says that his city was also attacked by monsters, and that's how he lost his mother. The boy is listening. If he hadn't been chosen as a hero, I'm not sure what would have happened to him. He says that the hero's strength is incredible. But one way or another, in the past he was also an ordinary child from a border village just like them. The brother asks how they can protect everyone. He states that he wants to save everyone. Raoul smiles. Raoul holds out the dagger and says that if that's the case, he'll give him this. It's the dagger that's been with him through all the battles. He tells him to take care of it as a sign of his determination. The boy asks if he thinks he can become strong. Raoul assures him that he can. He says that as long as he has the desire to protect everyone, then sure. The other heroes smile at them too. So later, the little soldiers who were engaged in supplies walk through the forest. Among them was the boy to whom Raoul gave the dagger. He says that their first task is to deliver supplies to the village of nowhere. Another says that the hero Raoul is fighting on the front lines right now. Maybe they can be of some use to him as a supply squad. They are happy that they can finally repay him for saving them. Then Johans told them that they had passed half the way. He asked them to put their luggage down. He tells them that the forest they will go through is filled with monsters and to protect themselves. He opens a box of drugs. He tells them that they need to drink this substance. The man smiles. Johans hands out the shots and says he's sure they each got one. He explains that the stimulant has a time limit, so they have to drink it on the count of 3. He thinks everyone listens to him. He smiles and calls them good children. Children begin to sense that something is wrong. Suddenly, one of them starts coughing up blood. They clutch their hearts and shout what kind of stimulant this is. Then another one comes up and tells Mr. Johans that he brought his horse. Johans says that this substance will turn such incompetents into full-fledged soldiers. Everything is fine. If they can drink some water, they will return to normal. He tells them to simply ask the people from the village of nowhere, at the end of the forest, to share with them. Children begin to turn into berserkers. Johans and another subordinate leave. The blonde hopes that the disinfestation will be successful. He replies that he does not think that they will survive the journey to the village. He adds that it would be a miracle if they also took the monsters with them to the next world. The berserkers begin to demand water. The one who had the dagger from Raoul accidentally finds the dagger on the ground. He clutches it and still demands water. They continue on their way. They kill all the goblins and come to the gates of that village. He knocks with his hands smeared with blood, asking for help. The man looks and sees the monsters, gets shocked and tells them to get lost. This is because they don't have a drop of water for the monsters. They start begging them to give them at least one sip. The guy wants to destroy the gate with all his might, but suddenly stops. He hits himself. He starts saying that he has to protect them. Then the chief comes and asks what's going on. Then the man says that there are some strange monsters outside. The leader sees them and says that not only do they make a terrible noise, but they look no better. They start telling us that they are supply soldiers and that they were forced to take a strange substance, which is why they turned into this. He says that all it takes is a sip. They scream and say that if they drink water, they will return to normal. They will not harm anyone, they swear it. The leader smiles and asks if they were really human, if they would return to normal if they drank water. He pulls out a bottle of water and asks if they want it. He holds it out and says they can have it. That guy is reaching out. Here the chief takes the bottle back and asks with a grin how much they are willing to pay. The guy looks at him in shock. The boss says that if he wants something, then let him pay. Isn't that natural? He tries to explain, but people shout that they are not benefactors, calling them inferior creatures. The leader tells everyone to look at them. Everyone comes to the crack and starts looking. Everyone calls them freaks, monsters, disgusting, vile, stinking. They laugh at how they even dare to ask them for water. They tell them to pay, to give them money. He keeps begging them to give him a little water, just a sip. The chief says that they have plenty of water here, but it is not free. Besides, they are soldiers. If so, then they should put the needs of the citizens above their own. He thinks that begging people to give them something is absurd. He closes the crack and tells them they should be ashamed. They stay where they are, the guy clutching his dagger. Here, accordingly, all the monsters, all the soldiers simply die. Back to the present, Raoul stands in front of them. The whole village looks at him in complete shock and apprehension. Raoul smiles and asks, now they remember everything perfectly. Then the head asks in anger, what kind of nonsense did he show them? Raoul says okay then. Using his magic, he takes the dagger from the boy and grabs him. He wonders what this dagger is doing in this village. Then the male guard shouts that it is their thing. The chief calls him a degenerate. Raoul says they didn't just watch them die, they stripped their bodies bare to the bones, taking advantage of the fact that their village is located right on the border. Until these days, they all received money by killing and robbing every traveler. The leader asks what these baseless accusations are. Raoul says that the dark magic given to him after death is very useful. He transforms into a poor girl and says that he can do this. He can also read the memories of the dead. The leader exclaims that this is nonsense. He tells him in the form of a girl his own words that this is their way of life. Wasn't he the one who said it so proudly? The leader, tense, asks what of it. Someone shouts that it is true, he has no right to judge them. Raoul asks if he is not mistaken, he does not care that they rob travelers. Everyone is shocked and awaits his answer. Raoul says that he simply wants revenge on those who harmed his comrades. Here one guy shouts that he simply obeyed the head of the village, because they will not have life if they refuse. That woman also screams that she didn't even know what was happening. Everyone agrees with her and starts screaming. The chief turns to them and starts looking askance. Raoul says that the villagers really do have such a poor imagination. He goes over their quotes that they were just obeying the village chief, that they didn't know anything. Did they really think that if they said that, he would spare them? He smiles and tells them not to make him laugh. He raises his dagger and says that he will hammer it into their heads, that not a single soul will escape from the sins they have committed. All the villagers are in shock and fear. The leader, trembling in his body, tries to ask what he is going to do to them. Raoul says that the question is good, they will find out about it during their merry expedition. He uses magic and says that, as he believes, it is easier to show in practice. Here the whole crowd walks and is surprised that their legs walk by themselves. Raoul tells them not to lag behind. They go out into the field. Raoul raises a white flag and shouts that now is the time for their incredibly exciting journey. They continue walking. One asks how long he will make them walk. Someone complains that it is already night outside. Raoul says that their goal, the village of Malak, is just a stone's throw away. Once they get there, their journey will be over. He says here they are. He congratulates them. They begin to rejoice that finally this ordeal will end. They will be able to quench their thirst. Raoul holds out his hand, and in an instant they are all back in their village, looking on in horror, sweat pouring down their faces. The moon gives way to a bright sun. Someone screams that it was all a vile sorcery. Someone screams that their thirst is real. They scream to let them go because they have reached their goal. Raoul asks what they are saying. He smiles and tells them that they are at the very beginning of the path or he is wrong. Everyone looks at him in anger. Raoul says that he is tired, so he suggests taking a short break. Raoul opens a bottle of water while everyone watches. Raoul drinks the water in large gulps, and then he shows with his whole appearance that it is refreshing. The old man asks to share it with them. Raoul smiles and asks him to repeat it. The chief asks for at least one sip. He rudely asks if he has really gone deaf. Raoul smiles and asks where he heard such a thing. But unfortunately, the water is gone. He throws the bottle away. All eyes are directed straight at it. Then they start demanding water, and all at once they pounce on this bottle. The leader tries to squeeze out at least a drop from there. The destination of the expedition is the mining settlement of Molk, not far from the village of Nor. However, in this fun journey, as soon as they see the goal, they will immediately return back to the beginning of the path. Everything these people saw now was just his illusion. In reality, they were just walking around the village of Nor. This beautiful hike will allow them to experience endless suffering. They shout at him to stop already. Let him at least let the children go. Raoul thinks that he is starting to get tired too, so he thinks that now is the perfect time to get rid of them. The woman screams that it is terrible to do this to children. Does he really have no heart? Raoul asks again, does he really have no heart? He says that since we are talking about it, those young soldiers were essentially children too, so who of them is heartless? He smiles and says that they watched them die, and now they are asking for their children to be released. He tells them seriously not to get on his nerves anymore. He holds out his hand and says that this is retribution for their sins. He says, using magic, that those who killed those young men will lose their children as punishment. Here the boys begin to change their appearance just like the berserkers. The mother and the others watch in horror. The women are screaming, "What's going on? Let him stop, let him help them." The children continue to change and get upset. One boy turns to his mother and asks why, how could she? The children dissolve as if in acid. They lie there and ask why they didn't help those soldiers. Because of that they are dying. All the people look at their children in tears and then run up to the children. Raoul claps his hands. They can't move now. Raoul smiles and says that the break is over. The mother screams and denies everything. Raoul announces that they continue the hike. She screams about her boys. Raoul thinks that this is the perfect moment to melt them. These children are also part of his illusions. The real ones are now in the village. So that they do not run away anywhere, he used his magic. He has no intention of killing innocents. The children in the village do not understand where everyone went. One of them says that this means they can now do what they want. Another is happy that they will play as much as they want. Someone suggests stealing the gems that his dad hid. Raoul thinks that this is the cruelest punishment for these country bumpkins, the only one he could think of. He says that from now on he will lead them through the hot desert. They appear in the desert and continue to walk under the scorching desert. Sweat is pouring off them. Some say it hurts. It's so hot to walk on the hot sand. It's all another illusion created by his dark magic. But it's no different from a real desert, the scorching sun and hot sand burning their skin. Someone's skin begins to crack and bleed. The old man demands water. Suddenly, several people fall to their knees and start screaming. Someone screams that he can't do this anymore. Someone screams that it hurts so much that he's going to die. Someone is still asking for water. They all beg for water and talk about their throats. Raoul smiles and says that they have finally experienced such a strong thirst. If so, then they will finish their hike. He congratulates them and says that they survived his illusion and reached the village of Moltke. Everyone starts to rejoice. The old man says that they will be able to drink. They think that they are saved, but Raoul smiles slyly. Someone looks through binoculars from afar and tells his friend that someone is approaching and there are many of them. The friend asks if they are monsters. He denies it. They see that these are people, asks the others to take their places. He orders to close the entrance for now to understand, are they enemies or not? They close the gates. They continue to knock and push the gate. The man shouts worriedly, are they really trying to break down the gate? That old man angrily asks why they closed the gates. He shouts that he is the head of the village of Nor. He asks why they do not open them, let them move. Those guards say that means all these people are its inhabitants. His comrade asks him to take a closer look. He says they don't look healthy and their skin is festering. They are suspected of being infected with the plague. The chief shouts what they are talking about. Another woman shouts that only pathetic rats would refuse to help a person in trouble. Her husband agrees and shouts, that's right. Are they really just going to leave them to die? Is that how people act? Raoul stands behind and asks, is that how they started talking? Someone older approaches the guards and asks what is going on. They answer that they continue to ask for help and to give them water. He says that they should help them. Raoul says how wonderful the people of Moltke are. In that case, he too will show kindness. He decides to tell them the truth. The people below demand that they give them water quickly. Here Raoul in another guise shouts that if they refuse, they will do to them the same as to all travelers passing through their village, kill them, strip them naked and take all their belongings. Everyone turns to look at him in horror. Those people ask what they are talking about. Are they really going to rob them? What does this all mean? Raoul in another form shouts that it will not be difficult for them to kill them all. The woman asks him to shut up. The chief shouts not to believe him because he is talking nonsense. This man is not even from their village. He screams that he is trying to kill them, so they ask for help. Those people from the village of Moltke say that they seem insane. Someone is shouting to listen that he attacked them for no reason. The woman asks to stop and give me some water already. Raoul sees the ribbon in her hair, unties it and throws it into the air. People see a woman screaming for her ribbon to be returned to her. The ribbon falls into the hands of one resident of this village, Moltke. This man shouts that this is a gift from his late wife to her daughter. He asks where she got this ribbon from. His daughters have not returned for several weeks. He demands to know where she got the ribbon from. The woman justifies herself by saying that her husband bought it for her. The old man, in tears, shouts that his wife wove it for their daughter and that there is no other like it in the world. The guards shout that the old man waits for his children to return every day at this gate, in which case it can't be, then all those cases of people disappearing from their village. The head of Nowhere still asks for water. And they say that all this was not the work of monsters, but of the villagers of nowhere. Here Raoul shouts that if they give them something to drink, they will tell where their daughters were buried. The headman turns around in shock. The guards start shouting, are they really joking with them, as if someone would give them even a drop? The headman understands that things are bad. Raoul smiles and says that if that's the case, then as usual they'll just steal her. He uses magic. They begin to collectively drive into the gates. The guards do not understand what is happening. The chief understands that it is his magic again. The villagers scream that they are in pain. From inside, the people of Molk village hold the doors and are surprised by the strength. They understand that the gates are about to fall. The guards shout that they are going to take the village by storm. They did not allow them to advance further. They order the stones to be put at the ready. They start throwing stones and shouting as if they will let them in. The guards shout that they will protect the village. The villagers of Nor close in, but their legs don't obey them. The old man is still crying and asking them to give him back his daughters. They throw stones at them until they start to bleed, and they shout that they can kill them this way. They scream in pain and ask for it to stop. The old man was hit in the head. In the end, all the people are lying on the ground covered in blood from the stones, but still asking for water. The old man lies in blood. Raoul stands before the chief. The chief looks up and sees him holding a bottle. Raoul asks the chief if he wants some water. He says with a trembling voice what he wants. Raoul says he didn't hear him and asks if he could repeat it. He starts shouting that he wants water and asks for it to be given to him. Raoul says that of course the old man smiles sharply. But Raoul then asks him how much he is willing to pay. He tells him that if he wants something, he should pay. Isn't it natural, and who should be ashamed now? The chief raises his hand and says he wants water. Falls unconscious and without strength. At this time in the village of Nor, the children say that it is already night outside, that they have been up for a long time. They think that maybe they are still busy. Raoul goes to them. The boy shouts that they have finally returned. The second says that they are late and that he is already hungry. Raoul smiles and says that they are poor, because for the crimes of their parents they, the children, will become soldiers. One asks who he is, the other asks what it means to be soldiers. They ask him where his mom and dad are. Raoul says he's sorry, but it looks like they won't be coming back. He explains to them that their parents have done so much evil. The boy asks where he put them, let him return them. They don't want to become soldiers. Someone shouts that they lived off the dead travelers. So what, these milk cows came to their village themselves. Raoul says it's amazing, they've already started teaching them how to loot. Raoul takes the jewel from him because it's not his. The boy screams at him to give it back, it belongs to him and stealing is disgusting. Raoul laughs and says that they are just like his parents. The boy says that then they will kill him and take him themselves. They are sure that together they can handle him. Raoul says that since they love killing so much, they would make ideal soldiers to fight monsters. He changes their consciousness so that they are now asking to be made into soldiers. Raoul smiles and calls them clever and now let them follow their brother. At the military headquarters near the village of Nor, a guard sees someone approaching. The children go to them. One boy says that they want to become soldiers. The second asks to make them soldiers. They repeat after them and again ask to make soldiers out of them. Raoul watches. Raoul sits on one fence and repeats the words that besides they are soldiers, if so then they must put the needs of the citizens above their own. He smiles and says that the next time their children hear these words, they will grow up as children of robbers or as killing machines. He wonders which path would make them happy. He stands up and says that in any case, it's high time. He wonders if it's time to go back and put the finishing touches on his picture of revenge on that girl. He mentally asks the princess to wait for him. One sunny day, the castle is full of corpses and blood. Raoul sincerely apologizes to everyone he made wait for so long. From this moment on, the unique performance with the princess in the leading role will continue its narrative. Moreover, another actress will join the main characters. He asks to let him introduce her. This is the former commander of the Royal Order of Knights, Sandra. Raoul says how she was beaten up. He asks if she did the same to her as to him. She replies that she just got the punishment she deserved. Sandra says, lying in blood, that while the hero is alive. Raoul stops her and asks if she hasn't noticed him yet. She says that she will definitely kill him. He holds out his hand and asks her to stop daydreaming. He tells her that in the next act she and the princess are the stars of his play. In the kingdom of Kurz at the castle of Weyabok, Princess Victoria angrily asks if they still haven't found Sandra. She screams how long it takes them to find one pathetic girl. They apologize profusely. The princess is furious. She screams that she escaped from the cell and killed the guards. She does not understand at all what is going on here. They try to explain to her that, as she already knows. Because of the curse cast by the hero, murder became impossible within the walls of the capital. Here Princess Victoria remembers that he promised to return to her as soon as her face became beautiful again. She understands that everything started going sideways just when her beautiful face was restored by magic. He says that all the incidents are the work of Raoul. She bites her nail out of nerves and orders them to find Sandra immediately and drag her to her feet. They obey. A few hours earlier in her cell, Sandra promised to kill Raoul. She said it wasn't her fault, she was just following the princess's orders. She asked why he didn't obey the princess. She muttered that it was unforgivable. Raoul realized that she had completely lost her mind. He uses magic and says that this is not right. She is the main character in his play after all. He tells her to amuse herself some more. Then an imaginary princess appears before Sandra and gently asks what she is doing. She leans over to her and tells her to prostrate herself before her, because it is disrespectful to her princess. Sandra immediately regains consciousness upon seeing the princess. Raoul, disguised as the princess, asks her if she has realized her mistakes. She quickly begins to say that, of course, she has realized it. If she can somehow make amends, then she will give her life for it. The princess says that there is nothing to be done then. In this case, she will give her a chance to atone for her sins. She screams that everything is for her. She takes the princess's hand and asks if she remembers the times when she was still her knight. She answers that of course she remembers. She says that for the sake of her princess, she killed her troublesome brothers, even though she did not give such an order. Raoul, disguised as the princess, says that she just wanted to do what was best for her. She says that it is, and that to prove her determination, she is ready to do it again. She asks her not to disappoint her again. The enamored Sandra promises her and then tenderly kisses her hand. She says that the princess is kindness itself. Raoul asks to be allowed to reward her for her unwavering loyalty, and Sandra is given clothes, armor, and her sword. Raoul thinks to himself, let her quickly run onto the stage with her beloved princess and dance as much as her heart desires. Everyone in the castle is searching. Someone asks if they found her. They answer that they did not find her. They search the entire castle up and down, but she is nowhere to be found. The commander does not understand how it is possible that she was not seen all day. Could she have gone beyond the barrier? Here someone in a panic asks the commander to turn around and look. Sandra walks towards them, covered in blood, holding the heads of the dead in her hand. They scream in shock at what she has in her hands. The commander screams, "What is this? Where is she going? Did she really manage to bypass the hero's curse?" He asks if she has gone crazy. Sandra deprives him of his head in a second. The rest of the knights stand in horror. They shout that the princess is in the room behind them, so she can't go any further. Sandra starts laughing. She looks up, and then with agile movements, he kills all the knights. Sandra laughs out loud and shouts that it's all for the princess. In her head, Princess Victoria is sitting on a big throne and telling her that she is such a good girl. The real Princess Victoria nervously drinks tea and asks where Sandra could have gone. And when will that damn Raoul ever get tired of taking revenge on her? Someone whispers to her that they are installing new testing weapons right now, and after capturing Sandra, she will be able to test them on her. She drinks her tea, sighs, closes her eyes, says that it sounds good, but she wanted to kill her quickly. Here you can hear screams, everyone is swearing. The princess asks what is going on. The door opens wide and Sandra stands in front of him, completely covered in blood. Sandra starts laughing madly. The princess looks at her in horror. Sandra apologizes for keeping her waiting. She hands her the severed heads. Panic sets in. The maids realize it's a severed head, but they don't understand what's going on. The princess screams, "Why are they standing there? Let them stop this woman immediately." Sandra asks the princess to look at this because it's all for her. She says that the king's confidants were killed. They desecrated the princess's honor. She fulfilled her wish. The princess once said that she was disappointed in the king's confidants. They did not want to see her on the throne, saying that the kingdom did not need a princess who could not give birth to an heir. She wondered what kind of punishment they deserved. Sandra tells her that she killed them on her orders. She wants to say that she did not order her to do this. The others ask her if she is really going to kill the princess. The ministers of the kingdom are dead who ordered her to do this. The princess tells them to stop making excuses for her. She did it of her own free will. Sandra says that the king is bedridden with illness. The death of the ministers means that the day of the lady's coronation is very close. The princess is surprised. Sandra says that she has eliminated them, as the princess wished. She adds that this voice from her beautiful lips is more precious than the whole kingdom. She remembers Raoul's words asking her not to disappoint the princess. Sandra gets down on one knee and asks to be praised. She smiles and asks for praise for not disappointing and exceeding her expectations. The girl is angry. Here the princess calls her a blockhead and wants to hit her with a sword. However, some kind of barrier is triggered, so the blow is reflected and the princess flies away from her. Sandra approaches her and asks if she is hurt. She calls her an animal and tells her not to touch her. There is silence. Sandra asks if she is hurt. The princess calls her a parasite, compares her to trash, and asks if she enjoys watching her suffer. She screams that she gave a worm like her so many privileges and this is how she got paid. A blockhead over and over again. She screams that if it weren't for the hero's magic, she would have already killed her. But for now she is depriving her of the title of royal knight. Sandra is shocked and says that this can't be true. Is she really no longer the princess's knight? The princess asks what she is even talking about. She and others like her have been nothing more than toys to her from the start. She tells her that she is just a doll that can always be replaced if she gets tired of it. Sandra starts to say something. She exclaims that all her efforts were for the princess. For her, she wanted to live up to her expectations. She asks if this is how she justifies killing them. The princess says that they met a miserable death at the hands of a miserable man. She orders that she be thrown quickly into prison. The other servants tell her to get up. The princess orders that a funeral be arranged for the dead. She reflects that even so, Sandra would never have decided to kill the ministers herself. She reflects that they were clearly a hindrance to him. But she was not going to kill them now. Her position in the kingdom had begun to deteriorate since the day of the wedding. She remembers Raoul, how he says that this is how the princess's sins were revealed. She believes that Raoul is to blame for everything. Here she begins to think that it is Raoul's fault. He is an enemy of the nation who kills the country's heroes. If she catches him, her authority will grow enormously. She will be able to put an end to the turmoil that is happening in the state and will become the ruler of the kingdom, although perhaps the whole world. Her ambitions have not yet collapsed. She doesn't need a child. She will ascend the throne herself and rule, becoming the first queen of Kurs. She wonders if Raoul is somewhere nearby now, meaning that it was he who prompted Sandra to kill the ministers, her wonderful hero. She wonders where he is hiding now. She was taken by surprise that time, but let him know that his source of power is dark magic. It would be easy to deal with him. She will need that holy woman. The power of those who have fallen into darkness pales in comparison to holy magic. Although she does not like holy men, she will be useful. She remembers the words addressed to Raoul, that he is just another doll in her hands. He exists only to amuse her and then be thrown away. She laughs at her plan and the thought that she will once again send the hero Raoul to the world of the dead. She grabs her stomach. The servant tells her that she seems to be having fun. She replies that she is, after all, he has returned this good-natured blockhead of hers. The servant ponders what a good-natured blockhead he is. Princess Victoria ponders and calls him a sweet, silly beast. The servant says that if she is pleased, then so is he. She laughs. The servant says that if so, he will take his leave in order to prepare the instruments for testing. She says that she will wait impatiently. This servant is, of course, Raoul, who has been standing next to her all this time. Which of them will be the puppet and who will be the puppeteer? On a hot, ordinary day, Sandra is brought out to the square. The citizens realize that this is the former leader of the Royal Knights, Sandra, who was captured yesterday and is apparently about to be executed. And now someone is announcing that they are going to carry out Sandra Dever's sentence. She sits with her hands tied and her head down. The crowd shouts that she is the knight who missed the hero at the princess's wedding, and that she is the one responsible for them being locked up in the royal capital. They think she is a completely useless knight. Victoria shouts to everyone that she is a sinner who rebelled against her own princess, who rebelled against His Majesty himself, and that she is the cause of the current situation. She screams that she brought the hero's wrath upon them, enjoyed her favor. Sandra understands the head and denies it. The princess says that Sandra burned villages. She screams that she was the one who ordered her to deal with the hero. She kicks her and tells her to shut up, calling her a traitor. The crowd asks if it is because of her that they have become the object of the hero's hatred. They demand that she be killed. Sandra quietly says that this is a lie and that everything is wrong. The crowd shouts for her to be killed. Sandra says that she was only carrying out the orders of Her Highness. Victoria claps and addresses her subjects, saying that they are given a chance to participate in the execution. She offers to teach her a lesson. Here someone brings out many incomprehensible things. The princess reflects that, as expected, people seem to be waiting for this. They figured it out so quickly. Her involvement in the murder of the king's confidants, the people's mistrust of the royal nobility, and the fact that they were trapped, all of this will be resolved by a public execution. And what's more, if the hero Raoul also falls here, she will become everyone's favorite. She laughs and thinks it's just wonderful. The crowd asks her to give them orders. They will tear the sinner apart. The other two stand and are surprised by such a reaction. The crowd is furious. At this time, Emil, still in his mother's arms, says that he is afraid for Victoria. His mother calms him down, tells him not to worry because his mother is nearby. Emil cries and screams that he will never come here again because something terrible is about to happen. Princess Victoria screams that it is time to begin punishing the traitor. All the citizens scream in joy. The princess is told to fasten her seatbelt. and the people shout at Sandra to die because she has defiled the honor of the royal knights, and only death can wash away her shame. Everyone throws stones at her, wishing for her to die, calling her an inhuman murderer, a criminal who brazenly wore the mask of justice. Sandra starts thinking and says that, really being a knight, all this time she protected such cruel people like them. People shout that no one asked her for anything, she did not do it for them. For the princess she was just a toy. She keeps trying to say that it was the princess's order, but they shout at her that it's useless to justify herself, because it was also the princess's order. Sandra begins to understand the meaning of these words, that this is also an order from the princess. People shout that worn-out toys must be thrown away for the sake of the princess, and for the sake of the kingdom. Sandra understands that she will be thrown out, stones are thrown at her, she calls for the princess again and again, she feels nothing. Princess Victoria says that if she does not moan loudly, the people will lose their excitement and will no longer enjoy the act. She orders the other knights to come to her. They come and say that they are waiting for their orders. She orders them to throw the sinner into the crowd, because due to the hero's magic she will not die anyway, and they will be able to play with her as much as they want. The three knights bow and obey, saying that they will do anything for her majesty. Sandra is thrown into the crowd. She looks bitter but at the same time emotionless. She falls towards the crowd, their hands reaching out to her body. They tear her clothes from different sides. Sandra shudders from each touch but does not make a sound. The men crowd around her in rage. Behind them stand women who feel disgust. They say that men get excited even by such a dirty traitor, and yet isn't she a beauty? Princess Victoria stands to the side smiling, and then she starts laughing loudly and heartily, saying, "Look what happens to those who get in her way, let her feel it on her own skin." Everyone stands there happily enjoying the whole scene, but then someone on the cross appears and asks how about decorating their execution. Everyone turns to him in horror. Raoul says that the actors are still the same and the plot is too banal. He turns to the princess and says that the fun is just beginning. Raoul sits on the cross. Princess Victoria says with a smile that he has come. Raoul says that time passes and nothing changes. All the men freeze in horror at the sight of Raoul. Sandra lies face down. Raoul says with a smile that everyone has gathered again for the execution. Raoul says that no matter how he looks at it, the only villain here is Princess Victoria. But it seems that in the eyes of others, Princess Victoria is virtue itself. He shouts to everyone that he thinks it doesn't matter anymore, even when he was in Sandra's place. They all just enjoyed themselves. He shouts with a smile that they see that after his execution so much happened to the princess and Sandra, or that they managed to forget about it. The crowd watches. Raoul says they are here to see an incredible show starring a princess. He asks to be allowed to introduce the cast. He looks up and says they have a whole list of traitors. This is Saint Christiana, who once cured Teddy. She says with a smile that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The Archmage is also part of the group Wendell. Mrs. Sandra. When he says this, Emil is horrified and thinks it is him, but of course it is their Princess Victoria. Princess Victoria smiles and says that he must have meant that the play was starring a former hero. Raoul laughs and says that the attention-seeking Princess Victoria will allow him to be the central character in the story. He asks if she is sure she wants to be secondary. He tells her not to be nervous, because now he is going to tell a story that will spark the public's interest. He shouts that it is for the ears of those present only. The crowd tenses. Raoul asks if they like this, the moments when the masks of those at the top of society fall off. He asks to be allowed to tell them the story of the Archmage Wendell first. He suggests going back to the time when the hero was captured by the princess. The Archmage tenses up. Returning to the past tense, Princess Victoria says that even his elder sister was killed. She holds a rope in her hands and asks Raoul if he is still holding on. Maybe she should decorate his cell with the fruit of her womb after it dries out. Raoul tells her to dare touch one more person dear to him, and he will tear her to pieces. Princess Victoria says she does not want to fight him. She comes up to him and says he is a stupid goose. If only he would hurry up and give her body and soul. Then someone comes up. Princess Victoria smiles and says that they still have plenty of time. She suggests that he have some fun. Raoul is shocked. Right in front of him stands Archmage Wendell. Raoul begins to rejoice that he is okay. He asks him if he has been feeling bad all this time, if everything is okay with him, if he is hurt. Princess Victoria leaves. The Archmage asks him for forgiveness and says that because of them he went through so much suffering. He says with a trembling voice that, as he said, Princess Victoria set conditions for him. She will allow him to live if he persuades Raoul. Raoul does not understand. Archmage Wendell says that if he becomes Victoria's servant, they will be released. Raoul begins to understand what it means that Christiana is also with them. Is this really what Princess Victoria wanted? Raoul thinks that for the sake of his sister and the others, Archmage Wendell interrupts and asks him again. Raoul tells him not to worry because he won't let anyone die again. If it means he can save everyone else, he'll gladly give up his body. Here Archmage Wendell starts laughing and says that he can't do this anymore. He calls Raoul stupid. Raoul doesn't understand anything anymore. He laughs so hard he holds his stomach and asks if he really intended to stoop so low. He's not the world's strongest hero. He's the world's strongest fool. He continues to laugh. Raoul asks him what he is talking about. He replies that everything he said is a complete lie and he was betrayed. Archmage Wendell tells him that he has no comrades left. Raoul repeats his words. The Archmage says that they are either all dead or were never his comrades at all. Raoul says that it is impossible, isn't he his friend, with whom they risked their lives to defeat the demon lord? He tells him to stop, he never considered him a friend. Moreover, he was only a step on the ladder of his happy life. He repeats clearly the words that he was only a step. Raoul starts to cry and says that he trusted him. In response to this, the Archmage laughs and says that a hero should not shed tears like that. He asks if he really wants to go under his sister's skirt and then reminds him that she is already dead. Here Raoul's magic is interrupted by the Archmage. Everyone woke up. Raoul says that the climax is in full swing. The Archmage smiles and says that he talks too much about himself, calls him a crybaby. Someone from the crowd says that Mr. Archmage Wendell did so. He turns to the citizens and asks if they really believe such nonsense, created by an illusion spell. He charms a girl from the crowd and says that the former hero in front of them is a criminal who killed the country's heroes, General Ernst Braun and Dr. Rin Bennick. He asks the girls if they trust him more than the Archmage. The girls in love shout that Archmage Wendell would never do such a thing. Raoul stands disappointed. Archmage Wendell turns to him and says that no matter how much he has succumbed to the forces of darkness, he no longer distinguishes between what is righteous and what is not. The magic happens again and tells him that if he wants to say something, he should do it face to face. Suddenly, Archmage Wendell himself disappears. Princess Victoria is horrified. Is this really an illusion? Raoul says to the sky that if he cares about him so much that he sent an illusion along with himself, then let them meet properly next time. Raoul says that now the Holy Virgin comes on stage. Christiane stands unperturbed with a sweet smile. Christiane asks to be allowed to say just one thing. Everyone listens attentively. She demonstratively declares that she did not betray Raoul. Raoul smiles and asks if she set it all up, if she put the princess up to it. He already knows about everything. Besides, they are not on duty. How about talking as usual? Christiane, with great charm, says that she will take him up on his offer. She asks if this means that he has looked into her past too. Christiane says that besides, she and the princess were just chatting about guys, that's all. Raoul smiles and plunges everyone back into memories. Shortly before defeating the demon lord in Werbach Castle, the princess and Sandra are walking down the corridor. Princess Victoria recalled how the three heroes told her that they were moving out for the final decisive battle. She thought of him then, of how his gaze had become even more determined. She wanted to make him hers as quickly as possible. She wanted to stain those scarlet eyes with her hands. Then Christiana asked Victoria how aroused she was. Here Sandra protects the princess and recognizes the Holy Virgin Christiana. Christiana giggles and says that she decided to take a walk and kill time before leaving. But she is so glad that she accidentally met the princess. She says that it seems Raoul has stolen her heart. Sandra shudders at this information, but Princess Victoria remains still. Christiana says how she understands her because he is so hot. Princess Victoria tells her that it is very impudent for a holy virgin because she cannot feel the same as Princess Victoria herself. Princess Victoria says that for insult she can prepare even a holy virgin for execution. Christiana says how scared she is. Princess Victoria calls Sandra to follow her. He obeys and follows her. Christiana says that she heard the voice of God, that's why she decided to tell her. Princess Victoria asks her if she really thinks the gods can control her life. Christiana tells her that it was God who said that their destinies were linked, and that only she, that is, Princess Victoria, can save Raoul. Raoul stops and asks to tell her more about this. Sandra is surprised by her behavior and Christiana is happy. Christiana says that Raoul is trying to save the people, which is why he has secured such support. She says that now it is as if he is trying to replace God, and this is very risky, but Raoul is a hero, not God. She wants to remember that Raoul is an ordinary man, this is for his own good. Christiane used her magic, convinced her that the time had come for her love. She must give in to her instincts and desire Raoul. She whispers that she must then expose his male nature and make a primitive male out of him. If she does this, Raoul will not be able to live without him. She keeps casting spells and whispering that if he stoops so low, he will lose his position as a hero and become her little dog. She asks if that doesn't sound tempting. Christiana says that she, a follower of the Lord, has saved many people. And she, Princess Victoria, will certainly be saved if she heeds the voice of the Lord. She asks the princess what she wants to do with Raoul. Princess Victoria imagines Raoul in chains fulfilling her wishes. Princess Victoria is in an excited state. She says that just imagining Raoul makes her shudder. Christiana smiles. Princess Victoria turns to Sandra. She orders her to find out everything about those who are connected with Raoul. The story of who is visiting the general. The zombie general says that Archmage Wendell and Saint Christiana have come to visit them today. The two sit next to him and greet him. The Archmage tells the general that it has been a long time since they last met, and he has changed greatly in appearance. Christiana agrees and says that he looks nice even like this. The general thanks her. The general suggests getting straight to the point. He asks what the hero Raoul is to the two of them. The Archmage laughs and says that a crybaby like him is just a rung on the ladder to success. He will crush him and use him to boost his own reputation. The general asks Christian, who says thoughtfully that it is a good question. She replies that he is her dear comrade general, and the Archmage looks at her in shock. Christiana says that Raoul has been through a lot of suffering. Now she wants him to be happy. The Archmage tells the general that Raoul has very bad luck with women, only crazy people fall for him. The general agrees with him. Christiana tells them both that she loves them very much too. In the square, Princess Victoria shouts to stop talking nonsense. Raoul is surprised. Christiane turns to her and sees Princess Victoria breathing heavily. Raoul laughs and says that this is an expected reaction, because the princess should be ashamed when such things are revealed in public. Princess Victoria shouts at him that he is wrong. She said that his accusations irritate her. Suddenly she laughs and says that they will see how he sings now, because she has found the secret of his strength, the weakness of his dark power. Raoul smiles and says that he only developed because he relied on the people around him. Princess Victoria says that by understanding the properties of his power, it can be easier to control him. Dark magic, considered the strongest, is vulnerable to pure holy magic. Raoul smiles slyly. Princess Victoria says that only holy magic can resist dark magic. His fun stopped at its peak. Princess Victoria turns around and addresses all the citizens and declares that there is no longer any reason to be afraid. She will rid them of him and save the whole world from this monster. She screams that the curse that is cast on this castle will be lifted. She will return the people to their former freedom. People start to rejoice. Will they really go outside? They ask her to do it. Princess Victoria suggests that he be buried again, and the people shout with great joy and support her. Princess Victoria turns to Raoul and says that now he is the center of everyone's attention, he can thank her, because this time she will watch closely as his flesh rots, slowly and little by little. Princess Victoria turns to the Holy Virgin Christiana and orders him to be killed. Through her holy power she will teach him a lesson. Christiane initially refuses, then changes her mind and says she will try. Princess Victoria exclaims that this is the end of him, the former hero Raoul Evans. Christiana uses magic. Raoul stands still and waits, and Princess Victoria laughs loudly. Here, unexpectedly, Christiana apologizes to the princess and still refuses it. Princess Victoria looks at her in horror and bewilderment. She tugs her by the shoulders and asks if she even understands who she's joking with. She asks if she wants to save people, so she should kill him immediately. Christiana says that of course she wants to save people, but she refuses to follow her orders. Raoul smiles. Christiane justifies this by saying that she doesn't want to become a cheater. Princess Victoria does not understand what a traitor she is. She dictates the words that she came into this world as a woman and will use it in the best possible way. Father does not allow himself to act on his whim and run away from the battlefield, leaving his subjects, and he is not allowed to raise his hands on them. Father said that after this she would not be able to stay. From today, he makes the decision to depose Princess Victoria. Christiana says that these are the words of His Majesty. Since he said it, she obeys him. Princess Victoria screams that it cannot be that her father has abandoned her, that if she is deceiving him this time too, her father should have no reason to abandon her. Here Raoul asks Christiane where the evidence is. He asks her to show it to him. Both girls turn to him. Raoul asks she saved them, they are hers, proof that the king does not trust his daughter. Christiana says that it is, of course, how could she forget it? She starts looking for something in her small bag. She takes out a document and hands it to the princess. Raoul tells her that she can rejoice. This is a gift from her beloved father to her. Princess Victoria begins to tremble in horror as she looks at this coat of arms. She doesn't open the document and says they're all joking. The crowd starts to make noise. They wonder how this can be. Did the king really renounce the princess? What does this mean? Did he even send a letter? Princess Victoria opens the letter in anger. Raoul looks at her with a grin. Princess Victoria begins to read the order. Princess Victoria is horrified when she reads it. Raoul approaches her and begins to read aloud that her existence is no longer useful. She is only fit for sacrifice. Her sacrifice will not be in vain. It will cool the hero's anger, and she will not meet death as an eyesore. Raoul quotes her as saying that at least by her death she could do something useful, and now she can tearfully thank him for it. Christiana says that the poor princess was abandoned by her own father. The crowd starts talking about her uselessness and her death. Raoul asks if they really think he is some kind of spirit to be appeased with a sacrifice. Princess Victoria tears up the order and refuses to believe such a thing. She screams that she does not believe it. She orders the knights to seize the hero and the saint. The knights do nothing. Princess Victoria asks if anyone would believe such nonsense, that they had set it all up, and she orders that they be taken into custody immediately. Christiana asks if it is right for a princess to address the knights in such a tone. She tells the knights not to worry, there is no longer any need to obey Her Highness, because His Majesty's voice is indisputable. The knights stand in shock. Princess Victoria screams, why are they frozen? Shouldn't they obey her? It's better for them to be dolls under her control. The knights stand in place in horror. Raoul starts laughing and says, if only she knew how stupid she looks now, if she didn't notice, then now the advantage is with him. The princess angrily calls everyone stupid. Princess Victoria turns to the knights and asks if they have decided to betray her. Raoul wipes away tears of laughter, says it's just wonderful how mad she is. He thinks it's much more exciting to see her like this. Princess Victoria asks if he was just laughing at her. She calmly says that she didn't think that all this. Then she raises her voice and screams that it is Raoul's fault. She rushes at him, grabs him by the collar and screams that she will kill him. Raoul says that he will not laugh anymore and asks how she is going to kill him. Raoul pushes the princess so that she falls to the floor. Raoul smiles and says that this look suits her better. He says she is like a dog. She screams his name and shouts several times that she will not forgive him. Raoul tells her that it is time to end the performance. Now he will be busy sending a report to the king. He smiles and says it's time to close the curtain. Princess Victoria starts laughing and says that her father has no other children except her. And that's why he can't just abandon his only daughter. That's why he sent her here. She says that she is the only suitable candidate for the throne, and that he has no heir to the throne other than her. She screams that he has no one but her. Raoul says that no, actually there are 3 more princes. Princess Victoria looks at him in horror and madness. Raoul smiles at the princess. She does not understand what he is talking about. His face reflects despair and madness. Having learned of Victoria's plan, the king impregnated his concubines, thus preparing his secret weapon. He appreciated Victoria's ambitions, and they alone were enough to prevent the king from choosing her side. Princess Victoria trembles and says this cannot be. Raoul says that no one will ever come to save her, so why suddenly Princess Victoria, the precious treasure of the country of Kurs, the only one of her kind, worthy and the most beautiful? She did not receive the trust and love of her people. Raoul asks her if she likes the feeling of being betrayed by people she trusted. He asks if she likes it when suddenly everyone she believed in turned against her. Princess Victoria screams that they are all lying and that it is all a scam. Raoul laughs heartily and says that now she has shown her most beautiful expression. Raoul says that everyone should take a look at him. He tells the citizens to just look at the treasure of the Kurs kingdom. He uses magic. All the citizens start discussing what kind of mug this is. Is it really Her Majesty, and where is the treasure? Someone shouts that apparently they were mistaken. It's just funny that all this time they listened to someone like her. What kind of scarecrow is this? Someone loudly and declaratively says that she is the daughter of the king. They simply had no choice but to obey her. But now, for them, she no longer has any significance. Here someone sighs and starts laughing, then says that Their Majesty the princess has no one left except her. This is Sandra speaking. Here Princess Victoria, in tears and snot, remembers her. Raoul tells her how happy he is for her. She is not alone anymore. Raoul uses magic and says that Sandra has come to the rescue. He thinks that it will be much easier for her to move. Sandra starts to move. Sandra takes the sword and begins to stand up. She still calls for Princess Victoria. Princess Victoria falls and trembling tells her not to come near her. She sends her away and asks someone to save her from Sandra. She asks the knights and soldiers to protect her. The knight states that they obey the king to fight for someone like her. Sandra hugs the princess, who breaks away from her embrace. Sandra asks how she will cope without her if she leaves her, because now she will be punished in the same way as her. She comes close to her and mounts her, and then she says that therefore she will save her from suffering with her love. Even though she betrayed her, she still loves her. Princess Victoria starts laughing and screams that it's no use. Sandra raises her sword over her. Princess Victoria begins to say that since no one can die here while the capital is under the hero's curse, so she should stop this right now. Has she forgotten what Sandra did? Raoul comes up to her and looks down on her. Princess Victoria asks him to stop. She apologizes, asks for forgiveness, let him finish this. Raoul says that whether she can die or not is entirely up to her. He snaps his fingers. Sandra's sword plunges into the princess's stomach. She groans and coughs in pain, blood comes from her mouth, her vision begins to fade. Sandra strokes her cheek and tells her that it is not her time to die yet. She says that she will die first and will meet her in heaven. Sandra kills herself, blood flows from her neck and lands on the princess's face. Sandra tells her that she will wait for her. All the citizens watch in horror. The princess screams in horror and tries to say something. Blood flows under their bodies. Sandra lies on the princess, who is still conscious. Raoul claps, smiles, and says that they put on a good show here, you can't take your eyes off it. He asks them how they feel about acting on stage, playing the lead role, and whether they had fun. He calls Victoria, she doesn't answer. Raoul says that this is where the story about the princess ends, the end of the performance. Raoul cheerfully says that he will never let her die. He had chosen a suitable place for himself in advance. He tells her to look up at the hill when it comes to the show. It will be very exciting to watch. He drags her by the leg along with the cross. He says that here they are. He says with a laugh that he will never let her die. Princess Victoria continues to beg him. Raoul watches and thinks that this is not bad. He hangs her on a cross against the bright moon. He suggests calling it a moonlit night and a crucified princess. Raoul laughs and says that he is such a romantic. Some animals come from behind. There are numerous wolves standing behind him. Raoul asks them to wait a little longer. He uses magic and says that the newest testing tool is ready. The animals pounce on her. Crows, rats, beetles, wolves all crawl towards her. Some bite off parts of her body, some peck. Raoul says that at this rate the wolves will gnaw all her flesh and the crows will peck her eyeballs, but she still won't die. Indeed, her eyes are pecked by crows, centipedes and rats crawl over her body. Raoul wants to enjoy her agonizing ordeal. Raoul says that initially when he left the general here first, he had no plans for this place. But seeing how the collection grows, it gradually becomes interesting. And now, who knows, maybe this place will become an attraction for visitors. Raoul says he still has plenty of free time. As for the collectible for the next cycle of retribution, in front of him are exhibits from Sandra, Victoria, and the general. A month later, a camp for the servants of the demon children was established in the kingdom of Kurz. Numerous children with bat-like wings are chained up. Someone wants all the clothes off the children for him. Someone listens to this person. This person has bright lips and long dark nails. Behind this man stand the Archmage and Raoul himself. The children shout that it is not necessary and ask to wait. This strange man shouts that they ordered to take off, so it is necessary to take off. He looks at the children and says that this is a product of the highest quality. It can definitely be sold for a good price. He says it's a gorgeous pink, it's delicious to him. The Archmage looks at the worried Raoul. The Archmage asks him what the sour expression is. They will make a decent amount of money from this, so let him smile. The stranger asks what he is doing. If he angers Raoul, then they are dead too. The Archmage tells him to relax. Archmage Wendell asks Raoul. He came to him himself, so no matter how much he hated him, he would not harm him. Raoul says that retribution also requires certain expenses. He just wants to take his money and that's it. He leaves and says on the way that he has had enough. Checking the quality of the goods is their concern after all. Raoul walks away, leaning his back against the wall. He hears the stranger telling Archmage Wendell that time is of the essence. Raoul rolls down in agony and covers his face with his hands. At the same time, in the kingdom of Cura in the amphitheater, a fight is taking place where blood is shed. Executioners kill someone. Someone laughs and shouts that there is a magnificent view from here. It seems that he is missing one more massacre. While one Raoul cries when he sees children being tested for quality, another Raoul eats candy and enjoys the carnage. In the kingdom of Kurz in the castle of Uabak, the servants look on in surprise. Raoul comes in and says that his royal majesty summoned him here. The servants obey and open the doors. They all stand in a neat line and invite him into the dark room. Raoul passes by and thinks what kind of stupidity this is. What's the point of feigning respect now? Because in the capital everyone without exception is an object of revenge. The head butler tells His Majesty the King that the hero Raoul Evans has arrived to see him. Before Raoul appears a man who lives off many artificial mechanisms. The king asks him if he enjoyed the reception he had prepared for him. Raoul replies that it was so-so. The king asks him if those baubles could serve as sacrifices for his amusement. He replies that not really, because their killing was so unimpressive. Until he himself began to direct, there was nothing to see. The highlight of the reception was the execution of General Ernst Braun. along with another 1,000 of those former heroes who had brutally burned down the village. The reception held in the amphitheater, thanks to him, was a great success. It's not that he hated them, but their execution. Raoul says that the culture in this country is too perverted to be so happy about an execution. The king replies that it is not as much as Raoul. He says that real evil is committing cruel crimes for your own pleasure. Does Raoul really think that he is the only one like that? Raoul asks him what he is getting at. The king says that he has received word that the one who calls himself a hero is hunting demons in the area around the border. Raoul asks what he is doing, since he is now having a great time in the capital itself. Does he really think it's him? The king says he's already found out he's a fake. He heard they only look alike. Raoul says that's interesting. Raoul thinks he's known all this for a long time. Then a bald guy says that, with all due respect, it's premature to draw conclusions about whether the person currently hunting demons is a copycat or not. The king interrupts him, calls him Lord Alcott, and says that no one asked his opinion. Alcott looks at him in surprise. Raoul exhales, snaps his finger, uses magic, and breaks the lord's neck. Another man asks Raoul what he allows himself to do in front of his majesty. Raoul says with a smile that this is punishment for doubting him. Here the servants shout that his majesty is keeping silent. This is punishment for the way he was treated, just like Queen Princess Victoria. The king agrees and says that indeed Lord Alcott's behavior was disrespectful, and he asks for forgiveness for his servants. Raoul smiles and says that it is nothing to worry about. The king suggests getting back to business. Regarding his imitator, he is working together with the great magician Archmage Wendell, who was once his comrade. Currently, the great mage is expanding his import business in the port city, under the patronage of a merchant named Cameron Erringham. Raoul pretends to be surprised, although he already knows this. They are both targets of his revenge. The king says that these demons seem to be making a lot of money from this trade. Raoul asks in surprise if they are trading in this country without the king's permission. What kind of bad people are they? The king says he cannot turn a blind eye to what they are doing and he must crush them, whether they are real or fake. The king says that he wants to punish the great magician and this seller, but Raoul understands what he means even without an order. Raoul smiles in response to the king's grin. Raoul leaves and says that these guys were originally his prey, and if so, then let him order the opposite. He uses magic and with burning eyes tells him to just try not to interfere with him. The king tenses. In the territory controlled by the Kingdom of Kurz, in the demon lands of Horaba on the western borders of the port city of Torudo, trade is proceeding smoothly. Raoul looks back and looks with sad eyes at the little girls with wings who are crying behind bars. At the reception point, he sees adult guards kicking demons and saying that the tear-stained faces of the frightened innocent children are amazing. This merchant says that these tears are so tempting to lick off. One boy trembles in front of the guard. A man beats him with a stick. One of the demons asks them to stop. The merchant says how wonderful are they really brothers. The man starts hitting him and saying that he's going to tear him apart. Raoul orders him not to overdo it. The merchant says that it's nothing, they're not expensive, so let him continue, and besides, they're kids. The children are lying there covered in bruises and blood. The merchant says that this is just right, because they don't look so good anyway. The children are crying, the merchant enjoys it and says what a glorious cry. One child is turned over, he has no wings. Raoul is tense from such a sight, he trembles. The merchant says that it is a delightful sight, never gets boring. Raoul asks if Archmage Wendell has also participated this time. He replies that he did. He should have arrived at the observation room by now. But in fact, Archmage Wendell is not the target of his revenge. Raoul replies that he is. They both leave. The merchant says that this is great, because his entire security depends on him. Without him, he simply won't be able to trade. The merchant laughs and says, just think, a former hero and a great magician will trade demons. People will be shocked if they find out about it. Raoul walks as if he is not himself, as if this is Raoul from the past. Raoul tells the merchant that it is clear that it is rather stupid to live without getting dirty. Raoul sees something in his pocket and asks what it is. He takes this object out of his pocket and says that this is that girl's little finger. It's so tiny and cute. The merchant puts the finger in his mouth and says what a nightmare, such an ugly little thing and such a beautiful finger. Later he will preserve it and decorate his bedroom with it. Raoul asks the merchant how crazy she is. She laughs. Raoul says he'll go to the restroom and catch up. At first he walks calmly, then his steps increase, and he is already running and breathing heavily in panic. He tells himself to calm down. He reaches the toilet and starts vomiting, tears streaming down his face. He wonders what he's doing. Suddenly, someone nearby asks if he's felt sick or if he feels any better. Raoul turns around and sees the real Raoul. The real Raoul smiles at him and greets him, calling him a copycat. Two Raouls in the toilet, one at the toilet. Raoul tells the impersonator that he has done a lot of harm by pretending to be him. He immediately takes out his dagger and tries to attack. Raoul stops him with his magic. The impersonator can't even speak. Raoul says he's doing even better than he expected. He's only similar in that he curses the whole world. He smiles and says what a pity, only the transformation magic worked well. He asks if he understands the difference in their strength. Raoul lets him go and asks if he will tell him properly why he is pretending to be him. He breathes heavily and kneels. He bows and loudly asks him for forgiveness. He just wanted money. He sobs and says that he thought that by befriending Archmage Wendell and Ailingam he could make money, but they forced him to pretend to be a hero. He begs Raoul not to kill him. Raoul himself is completely shocked by this. He starts crawling to his boots and asks if he can lick his boots. He sticks out his tongue. He actually starts licking his boot and says what to expect from his boots. He says with a smile that it is incredibly delicious. Raoul starts laughing and asks what has happened. What is he doing to his face? He again asks for forgiveness in a panic. Raoul says that he will not kill him, not to worry. He is not a crazy butcher, killing everyone in a row out of revenge. But for the fact that he took his appearance without asking, he will pay. Raoul leans towards him and asks if he will lay all his cards on the table, who he wants to take revenge on. The impersonator asks what is being discussed. Raoul tells him that he doesn't really want money. The impersonator panics and asks what he's talking about. He's just a crook who has mastered the magic of copying. His goal is money. There's no talk of any hatred. Then Raoul uses magic and shuts him up, so the impersonator can't speak again. Raoul says he doesn't want to hear his pathetic lies anymore. Raoul asks he wanted to meet him for his own revenge. The impersonator understands that he knows everything about him. The impersonator tries to tell him something, but moans because of the magic. Raoul asks if he really wants to talk. He suggests they talk calmly over a cup of tea and releases him. They find themselves in a large place surrounded by eyeballs. The impersonator doesn't understand what this place is. Raoul tells him to sit down. The impersonator takes a cup of tea and wonders if this is magic too. Raoul says that he threw up recently, so he can clear his mouth. He drinks tea. Raoul asks if he will introduce himself again. With a snap of his fingers, the impersonator takes on his true form. It is a girl named Ada Dira. She looks at the cup of tea and sees her reflection. Raoul asks her if she will tell everything now. Ada says that means he saw through her, and how did he know about her past? Raoul says there are not many people who have copy magic. He checked the registry of magicians in this country. Ida says that an ordinary person cannot see the registry of magicians. Raoul smiles and says that the king's friend is not an ordinary person. Ada is surprised and does not understand him. Ada asks disappointed what his majesty is thinking. Raoul says she is slandering their king. Ada asks how he knew it was her. Raoul replies that there really aren't that many people, and he asked politely, as he did just now. Ida is surprised. Raoul says that in the meantime he was thinking why it was necessary to pretend to be him. What is the benefit of doing so, and then he immediately found her. He asks, after all, she, participating in the trade, helped the demons escape, and then intended to report to the authorities about the underground trade of Archmage Wendell. He says that this couple, the objects of his revenge together with his double, did whatever they wanted for fun and profit. That's all he wanted to know. Raoul says that by doing this she only added fuel to the fire of his anger. She wanted him to find this place and finish off Archmage Wendell and Ailingam. That was her plan. Raoul asks what and who would beat around the bush like that. The answer is simple. It is someone who hates them as much as he does. Raoul smiles and says that by searching for one in the registry of mages, he was able to find her. Ida says that is exactly how it is. Her hands begin to shake. Raoul asks what she is thinking about. He says she's trading demons with the people who killed her own family. She must be crazy. Raoul says she is too naive and indecisive. Let her remember again. He asks her if she wants to kill them. He uses magic and tells her to awaken within herself a thirst for revenge. She begins to understand that since that day she has been seeing a nightmare in reality, and this nightmare will continue until she kills them. Charles Dira is Ada Dira's father. He had been a merchant for a long time and served as an accountant for the Ailingam. After the demon lord was defeated, Charles became suspicious of the strange money transactions of the Ailingam. He thought that the new enterprise requires so much investment. Ailingam says that it is still a secret, but what is it? Coming to the window, he sees Ailingam. He thinks that lately he often goes out somewhere at such a late hour. He wonders if it is somehow connected with the new enterprise. It seems like something was just recently brought into the basement. And then his suspicion opened the door to a nightmare. He went down to the basement, Thinking that he didn't like this place, he sees that the door to the basement is open. He doesn't understand what kind of room this is. He sees Aelingam telling some three that they keep the regular customers happy. The demon's servants are quite profitable, and if dear Archmage Vendel, who defeated the demon lord, were to join them, their powers would be greatly increased. Behind them sit the bound demon children. The accountant does not understand how Aelingam and the great magician Archmage Wendell. He sees the frightened faces of the children. Are these really servants of the demons? Archmage Wendell then told him to just make sure no one knew. Aelingam said he would do so and that he would count on him in the future. They leave Aelingam remains. Aelingam giggles, licks his lips, begins to undress and says that they will have a lot of fun today. The accountant is horrified and doesn't understand what's going on. Aelingam says that if they bite him, he'll kill them right away. He hears moans and cries. Aelingam says it's so tight and cramped, which is wonderful, so much snot and sweat, he thinks it's cute. The children are calling for their mother, asking for help. Aelingam understands that these are the cries of children. He guesses what is happening to the girls. Aelingam comes out and says that they need to clean up tomorrow. The hidden accountant breathes heavily and is horrified that Aelingam is doing something like this. Could this really be his new enterprise? He understands that this cannot be left like this. He walks into the room and sees little girls lying in blood. They are all unconscious and covered in fluid. He is horrified by what happened here. He hopes that at least someone is alive. He checks and finds that one of them is breathing. He turns his attention to the one that is shaking and making sighs. Later, someone says that nothing can be done with one. He healed her wounds with the magic of restoration, but everything depends on her will. The accountant asks the healer if nothing else can be done. He asks to help at least her alone. The healer says that if it's just about their wounds, he'll just take this corpse away from here. He takes them away. The healer says he doesn't want to get into trouble. The accountant says if anyone comes here, let them hide them somehow. The healer suspiciously closes the door and says that it's still a matter of time. He will watch over them until they die. He says that he is counting on him. He knocks on the door. His wife sees him coming with the girl. He lays her on the floor. She is covered with a blanket. The wife asks how this happened. The man says that he will go to the capital to tell the authorities about everything. He says that then Archmage Wendell and Aelingam will be arrested, and at the same time him for complicity, although without his knowledge. Although so what if he didn't know? His wife asks him if there is another way. He clasps his hands and replies that he recently noticed something amiss in Aelingam's finances. He punches the wall and screams that he should have noticed this sooner, and then it would have been possible to avoid such a large number of victims. His wife tries to calm him down. The accountant says that these children have parents. They should have lived happily just like them. Besides, judging by the movement of money, every day they suffer from such cruelty. He cannot turn a blind eye to it. He asks his wife to tell him in the morning that he is sick. This should buy him time, and then let him take his daughters and leave here. Then the daughter comes down and asks if everything is okay. She heard something. She sees her dad and is happy. Father tells Ida that he is home. Only a stack of books fell. He apologizes for waking her. He tells his daughter that dad has urgent work now, so he has to go. Ida says that it is night now. Ida tells him not to overwork himself and to come back soon. He smiles and promises to come back as soon as he can. He smiles and tells her to go to bed and wishes her sweet dreams. Isla smiles and wishes him good night. Ida leaves. He tells his wife that it is time for him to go. His wife hugs him and asks him to be careful. He is riding a horse. He understands that tomorrow they will notice that someone is missing. By that time, he needs to arrive in the capital and tell everything, so as not to allow such casualties again. Then the arrow hits the horse. He loses his balance and falls. Here some men say that they were told to find the one who took the goods. They say that he not only laid hands on the goods, but also killed him. They tie up the accountant. One says that Mr. Aelingam is furious. They will bring him back. They were given orders to drag him along the ground alive. They tie him to a horse and suggest that they have some fun. The horse moves, and behind it on the ground is the accountant. The man asks with a grin if he will last until they get there. He drives all in blood and mentally asks Ida for forgiveness. He did not keep his promise. It's all over for him. He asks them to continue living. The morning after her father leaves, Ida wakes up to find her mother sitting by the door crying. She comes over and asks what happened. Ada looks up and sees the remains of her father. She woke up from the scream of her mother, who saw something that looked like her father. And on the box in which this something lay, it was written that this betrayal was punishable by death. The unfulfilled promise still remains in the girl's chest, and that's all she could say. Ada had so many different memories of her father, and before her eyes is only the spectacle that she had the chance to see that day. Ada, in hypnosis before Raoul, says that all of them were rewritten by memories of that day. Raoul claps his hands and says that this is a truly interesting story. and that this is something that definitely needs to be avenged. Ida is surprised that he enjoys someone's revenge so much. She thinks he's just awful. Raoul tells her that revenge is something to be enjoyed. People often say that revenge is pointless. It will not bring anything. But this is an outright lie of those who have not yet experienced revenge. He simply says in delight that revenge brings unbridled joy and a tremblingly pleasant flutter of the heart in his chest. Ida says she only wants to avenge her family. They are not alike at all. Raoul says she has a rather dangerous way of thinking. Raoul asks her if she can carry out her revenge alone. He says that she will understand in due time. Ida doesn't answer. Raoul says with a hint that he, too, is racking his brain over revenge on Archmage Wendell and his friends. He says that there is a rule for his revenge, to pay tribute to what was done to him, his family, and his friends. But Archmage Wendell only deceived him, so he would like to ask for assistance. She asks again. Raoul answers that it is exactly so. Whether to accept this hand or not is her decision. He extends his hand to her. She hadn't even thought that things could turn out like this, but what kind of assistance was he talking about? What did he want her to do? Or maybe he already figured it all out. No, she thinks she needs to calm down. This is a chance she never dreamed of. Her goal is to avenge her family. If she can accomplish it, she doesn't care about the consequences. She extends her hand and shakes Raoul's hand, and he smiles in turn. And then he says that means it's decided. He lifts her up. Raoul says that now for a while they will become partners. They will be friends with Ida. She only becomes more tense. Raoul asks her to be cheerful and smile. She says that she will refrain from that. Ada asks what is required of her assistance. All she can do is transformation magic. Raoul tells her that she doesn't have to worry about that. Ailingam is out of the game, so they will most likely have to fight Archmage Wendell one-on-one. She speaks with apprehension that this Archmage Wendell must be too strong, according to rumors. His magical powers are limitless. She asks that he was in the hero's squad that defeated the demon lord himself, and therefore he should know best what he is capable of. Raoul says that he even feels sorry for the demon lord who was defeated by such types. And indeed, he knows Archmage Wendell well as his weak points. He asks if she knows that he is very weak mentally, and besides, he is a show-off for whom other people's opinions are everything, and it is easy to break such people. It is enough to arrange a psychological attack on him. Ida doesn't understand and asks how to arrange a psychological attack. He waves his hand and approaches her. He leans closer to her, causing Ida's heart to beat faster. He plunges the sword into her and says that this is how it is. She is horrified, her eyes gradually close. She does not understand what is happening. It is she, the hero, killed her, but then why is she standing here? She looks at her hands and realizes that she is back in the toilet, but in the form of Raoul. She screams what's going on. Her body is in front of her. The impersonator wonders if he is using transformation magic again, but the magic has completely dissipated in the other dimension. But her body is now lying right before his eyes. The impersonator wonders what is going on and why he is in Raoul's body. The real Raoul, who is inside her, asks if she was able to figure out what happened. The impersonator screams. Raoul inside says maybe she will stop making girlish screams while in his body. It is just disgusting. She is horrified by the voice in her head. Raoul tells her that it is natural. She is also in this body. She asks if he stabbed her to cast dark magic. He confirms it. She asks if he could have warned her in advance. She thought she was going to die. Raoul tells her that, to be more precise, her soul is temporarily in his body. Her real body is just sleeping. Raoul tells her not to worry. He picks her up and carefully places her body on the toilet floor. She asks how this is related to the psychological attack. He replies that perhaps she is part of it. She just lacks the strength to carry out her revenge. He says that so he will borrow her power to take revenge on them. She can use this body as she wishes. She realizes that she can use Raoul's hero layer. It turns out that she has nothing to fear anymore. She begins to think that Raoul is not the kind of person who would do something like this out of good intentions. She asks awkwardly if he really wants to watch this in exchange for this. He replies that of course he does. He's not asking for anything so impossible. He is also in this body. If she needs some advice, she can turn to him, but she will take revenge at her own discretion. She says she thought he would ask for something more unimaginable. Even if he did, she had no intention of backing down from the start. Raoul asks her if she understood everything. She nods. Raoul calls her a good girl. She asks how she should use magic, and he replies that they will learn it in practice. He tells her to point her hand at the toilet door first. She obeys. Raoul says that her body will stay here for a while. Raoul thinks to himself that so far everything is going as he planned. He tells her that although she thinks she can freely use his body, the body swap is happening on his initiative, so she shouldn't be scared if they suddenly switch. She asks what that means. She says that she won't be surprised by anything anymore. He laughs and says that he knew she had guts. She says that all her words are spoken in his voice and she hears his voice in her head, which causes mixed feelings. Raoul says that hearing a woman's speech spoken in his voice is so-so. It causes nothing but disgust. Raoul now suggests going to visit Archmage Vendel and Aelingam, who says that they are most likely in the farthest hall. It's there that they assess the demons every day. Raoul says it's great, now they know the place, all that's left is to enjoy it properly. From now on, she'll do whatever she wants. He suggests that she destroy these animals who are mired in their own greed. Ada replies that she agrees with him. In that hall, one man kicks the demon and tells him to take away this trash from here, which doesn't even qualify as goods. It's another day filled with inhumanity against demons. They cry and tremble when they see each other. One of them approaches the demon and asks who told him he can hang out here or if he wants to be taken away too. The man hits the boy in the stomach, making the demon's nose bleed. From the door, Ida sees this. Raoul asks what she will do. Raoul tells her that if this continues, they will all die. She wants to object. Raoul suggests that they first kill the guards. He will show her how it is done. He tells her to be more alert. She needs to learn how to handle his body. She wonders if she really needs to kill the guards. Raoul asks her what is wrong. Is she really afraid of killing people? He asks. She is going to avenge her family. He should succeed. Trading demons is not something Aelingam can do alone. Then the guards are also objects of revenge for him, or she will leave this girl who is being beaten to die. Raoul asks her what other doubts there could be. Because of these children, her father was killed. Besides, by killing the guards, she will not only carry out her revenge and save people, but also save the demons. They will all be happy. He asks Ida again what she will do. She finally says that he is right. He will turn all the people who are here into objects of his revenge. She declares that she will kill them all. Raoul thinks that this is how it should be. He thinks about her look. She is something special. His calculations were correct. He says that then we need to get down to business and suggests doing it beautifully. Those people are surprised that it is the hero Raoul himself. Did he really come to the dungeon alone? This is something new. Raoul says to do everything as he says. In theory, the spell should be enough for her. As it goes, he will give her instructions. She quietly whispers that she understood him. The man asks what happened, or has he also come to evaluate the goods? Someone laughs and says that it is even interesting who will suit his taste. Raoul tells her to first put her hand forward like that time and read the spell. She repeats everything and at Raoul's command puts her hand to the ground. She deprives several of their heads at once and they panic and do not understand what is happening. Raoul tells them to bend down and continue reading the spell, and some more die as if they were being stabbed with clods of earth. They don't understand what just happened. Raoul gives instructions. Ada is surprised that the body moves with such ease. She continues to attack and thinks, even though the magic power flows so easily, but how much power is in it? Then someone from behind shouts that he is a traitor and curses him. Raoul tells Ida to take the blow and read the spell. She hesitates. Raoul says there is no time for doubts. Here she does what is necessary, and immediately that man begins to break down on his own and melt. Raoul gives the command to grab it, turn around sharply and read it alone. She does everything. Here the spears stick into the bodies of the others. Everyone dies. The demon children look at all this in surprise. Raoul stands on a mountain of corpses. The children ask what is going on. Raoul tells Ida, who is shaking, that she needs to explain what happened. Raoul wonders if she has gone into a stupor after killing for the first time. What can she do? Raoul understands that he will have to replace her. He tells the children not to be afraid because he is their friend. All the guards in this room have been killed. He holds out his hand and says that they have just gained freedom. They say that the hero and Aelingam are in cahoots. He explains that for some reason he had to take the form of a hero, but he is their friend. They ask if he will really save them. They don't really believe it. He says that he understands them. It's hard to just trust someone. Then he will make a statement. He shouts that he will go and free everyone who is here. And then he will certainly find and kill the main villain Aelingam and the great magician Archmage Vendel. The children begin to move, their chains breaking in an instant. Raoul shouts that it is time to take back their freedom, and those of them who want to see it with their own eyes can come with him. Their freedom is already very close. The children watch with enthusiasm. Raoul suggests going to the hall where they are now waiting. The children start screaming, is he really their savior? They thank him and say that they will go with their savior. The Ada inside him doesn't understand what he's doing. He doesn't even think about any salvation. She knew he was just having fun. The demon children start screaming that they will kill them all. Someone's child was taken into the hall. He was never returned, and someone's little sister too. If they have a savior with them, they will be able to kill them. Raoul enjoys it and says it feels better than ever. After all, everyone is screaming that they will kill him. Here, Ida, who is sitting inside him, begins to worry and wonder why she ever agreed to his help. Once you cross the border, there is no way back. Then they began to go from room to room to kill all the guards and free the demons. At first, Ada's every movement was filled with doubt, but the blood that covered her dulled her senses and sharpened her reactions, and her gaze filled with radiance. It must have been the first time she knew the pleasure of being thanked by demons, and the sense of justice from protecting the weak completely overwhelmed the guilt of taking lives. She was exactly like him before. She screams that they will punish the cruel people, free the demons by their hands, return the dignity that was taken from them. Demons are after him. Revenge is what awakens emotions in any living being. He thinks, what a wonderful moment, do the sounds of this sweet choir reach their ears. She says that behind this door are Aelingam and Archmage Vendel. Raoul suggests doing it in a big way, thirsting for their fresh blood. Inside, Aelingam stands behind Archmage Wendell and says that he has indeed freed all the demons and is heading here with them. Aelingam asks what he is up to. It doesn't look like he is just playing with the kids. Ada shouts that they will no longer be their toys. She points her finger at them and screams that their evil deeds have come to an end. The two are surprised. She continues to scream. Let them listen carefully. All the guards have been killed, and now the same fate will befall them. He shouts that everyone present will kill them both. Aelingam is surprised that he started talking. Aelingam shouts that he thinks too much of himself because the great magician Archmage Vendel is with him. Archmage Wendell starts laughing and shouts that it's simply incomparable. Ada asks what's so funny about it. Archmage Wendell replies that he just got carried away enough to start spouting such nonsense. He tells the imitator to just watch, he won't regret it. He calls the imitator a false Raoul. Aelingam doesn't understand why Raoul is a fake. What does he mean? He replies that it's exactly as he said, it was a fake from the very beginning, disguised as Raoul. He asks if he really thought he couldn't notice it. Aelingam asks why he didn't tell him before, because this is something that needs to be said. Why did he try to hide it for so long? He tells Archmage Wendell to finish him off quickly. Aelingam tells him to answer for deceiving him. Archmage Wendell says he understands him, but he shouldn't yell. He'll deal with this guy in a jiffy because he's not the real Raoul. Here Ada uses magic, so everything starts to explode. Archmage Wendell looks at him in surprise. Aelingam fell to his knees in horror and covered himself. Archmage Wendell says that he simply cannot have so much magical power. It's almost like a real hero. Raoul smiles and says that he is the real hero. He spreads his arms as if he wants to hug her and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, so he came to say hello. Archmage Wendell says, is he really the real Raoul? It can't be. Raoul asks, how can it not be? In the capital they have known for a long time that he goes and seeks revenge. This means that the next person he goes to must be the one he knows best. Archmage Wendell tenses up. Raoul smiles and says that after all they are best friends. Raoul invites us to talk about times long gone. This is a touching story about a village boy who wanted to be a hero and how he met his best friend, to whom he opened his heart and soul. The little boy Raoul was beaten and asked if he really wanted to become a hero. What an impudent country bumpkin, let him not think that he was somehow special if General Brown liked him. Here someone scares the boys with magic. They turn around and ask what it is. In the background another boy says that he is guilty, he decided to practice magic. It's Archmage Wendell who comes up and asks, this is a training hall, they themselves won't be training. The two boys run away. Archmage Wendell asks Raoul if he is okay. He looked and thanked for the help. Archmage Wendell clarifies his name. He extends his hand, introduces himself, and asks if he minds if they can be friends. Raoul wanted to answer something, but then Archmage Wendell's stomach growled. They laugh. Archmage Wendell says that there is a good canteen in the shopping districts. He was just going there. If he wants, he can go with him. He shakes his hand and agrees. After that, he and Archmage Wendell became something like leaders of their peers. Archmage Wendell gave the two offenders the money they had agreed on. They angrily said that it was easy, let him come at any time. When they grew up, they officially joined the Demon Lord's counterterror squad and set out on a long journey as partners. The older sister sees Raoul and is glad that he has come. Raoul says that they were passing nearby, so he decided to come in. She asks how he is feeling. He must be tired, he can rest properly. She also tells Christiana and Archmage Wendell to pass. Archmage Wendell immediately compliments her. Christiana apologizes for the intrusion. The sister prepares many dishes. Archmage Wendell enjoys it and says that such delicious food cannot be found in the whole kingdom. He tells his sister that she simply has golden hands. Raoul asks worriedly he didn't fall in love with his sister. He laughs and says that it's so funny. He tells him not to be afraid, he won't take her sister. The elder sister turns to Archmage Wendell and thanks him for always helping Raoul. He looks at her in surprise. She adds that she has long wanted to thank him. She was so worried, she really was worried that he would just break at some point. She smiles. The sister says with great warmth that Raoul changed only after meeting him. Thanks to him and the counteraction squad, of course, he became more optimistic. She thanks him for looking after her. Archmage Wendell smirks and says that she doesn't need any thanks, he's just doing what he has to do. He smiles broadly and says that she can trust Raoul to him. He will definitely protect Raoul, even at the cost of his own life. The sister giggles and says that sounds quite encouraging. She wanted to meet him so much because in his letters he writes only about him. He asks in surprise if this is true. The sister tells him that there should be no at the cost of his life. For her, Archmage Wendell is just as dear. She asks him to promise her that they will definitely return safe and sound. He replies that after they defeat the demon, he will come to her again for dinner. She says that she will wait for their achievements. Archmage Wendell looks at her body. He says that he will definitely be able to come back. As their journey continued and their relationship grew stronger, Christiana asked them if they were going to go to the Goblin King's stronghold first. But that had nothing to do with their party. She says they must go to the castle as soon as possible. Raoul shouts that they have taken over this village and have been treating the locals like servants for a long time. Archmage Wendell shouts that they cannot abandon people in trouble. They shout that they must save all the people. The people thanked them, saying that they would finally be able to live without fear of monsters. Christiana turns to them and says that their journey has been too long. She has already asked the kingdom for support. She offers to leave these demon squads to them. Raoul shouted that they must save them as soon as possible. Archmage Wendell agreed and said that they should save those near them first. However, while they were dealing with those they met, the demon troops attacked other cities, causing massive damage. As it turned out, only one squad had been abandoned, and two others in it had a similar way of thinking. Everything was aggravated by the desire to satisfy their sense of justice. After that fateful meeting, he considered Archmage Wendell, with whom they fought together, his only friend. He could not even imagine that all this was set up. Raoul, in front of the fire late at night, said that they would finally set out for the demon's castle tomorrow. Archmage Wendell asks him what is wrong. Is he really afraid? Let him not be afraid because the great magician himself is with him. Raoul says he just suddenly remembered the past. He wondered if all was well with those young soldiers. Archmage Wendell asked if he was talking about those slums. He asks if he really liked them that much. He replies that they are like younger brothers to him. How could he leave them? Besides, his sister's child might be like them when it grows up, he thought. Archmage Wendell asks if Klee is really giving birth next month. Raoul says that's true. His sister got married, and he had an older brother and then a nephew or niece would appear. It was all like a dream for him. He says that this is how he will have an addition to the family, because he always thought that there was no one else except him and his sister. Archmage Wendell pokes him in the shoulder and asks what he's saying. He winks at him and says that they are like one family. Raoul smiles with affection. Archmage Wendell says that there is no need to sob. He hugs him and says that they will definitely defeat the demon lord with their own hands. Raoul agrees with him. He now understands that if he is a fool, it will be taken away from him. If he is kind, he will be used. Late at night, Raoul asks him if Archmage Wendell is not going to sleep. He awkwardly replies that he must have been very worried about something. He throws some into the fire and burns it. Archmage Wendell looks on and says that the day has finally come. Tomorrow they will fulfill their squad's mission. After their campaign, Raoul separated from them and immediately headed to the village of Magal. He said that he wanted to meet and talk. He wanted to give an award. How many letters came from the princess, but he left, leaving them unanswered. Raoul remembered the boy's words to come and play with them after he had taught the demon a lesson. He returned to the village to keep the promise he had given to Magal's children. What a fool he was! When he returned and looked at the corpses of the villagers, Archmage Wendell was sitting in a tree watching him. He looked at them with a smile and suggested to start. Raoul looks and says that everything is the same here as in the villages where the demons visited, but they defeated the demon lord. He does not understand who could have done this. Then the knights come up to him. He is still talking about how this could happen. Was he really mistaken about something all this time? Sandra orders the knights to seize the hero. They all hold him. The hero does not understand what is going on. Behind him, he sees Archmage Wendell. He wants to ask why he's just standing there. Archmage Wendell smiles and thinks that he has a great face. Here, Sandra uses magic on Archmage Wendell. He pretends to be in pain. Raoul asks Sandra if she didn't come to help. Why is she doing this? The counteraction squad was just the beginning. The real fun is about to begin. Sandra says that she has searched for Raoul. She asks what kind of ignorance it is not to answer the call of Her Highness. He demands to answer his question first. He asks on what grounds she is detaining them. Sandra sighs and says that it is their doing. The general stands behind her. Raoul doesn't understand what's going on at all. Sandra talks about the massacre of all the villagers. Only a person with enormous magical powers could commit such a crime in such a short time. Raoul asks if she really thinks they could do something like that. Here he sees little children who are crying and telling the hero that they are scared. Sandra says they just took custody of these children. If he continues to resist, these children will die. Raoul wonders why they are doing this to the children. Is all this really? He guesses that they themselves set it all up. Archmage Wendell ostentatiously shouts that they control children with magic. He says how vile it is. The general calms him down. Raoul starts to struggle. Sandra tells him not to move. Raoul doesn't understand what to do. Archmage Wendell stifles a laugh so long that tears begin to flow. He tells himself to hold on. Sandra demands to give up her sword. Raoul keeps thinking about what to do. Archmage Wendell shouts to Raoul that he will think of something to do with the children. Let him run away and leave him. Raoul shouts that he will never back down. He says that the powers of the great mage cannot be sealed so easily. They must have set some condition for him. Archmage Wendell is surprised. Raoul screams that it all backfired. He orders everyone to take him to the capital immediately. He throws down his sword. He squeezes his hand and screams that justice is on his side. He has no idea why they started all this, but he will not run. Archmage Wendell smiles at the thought that he knew he would say that. Rod says he has thrown the sword, so let the children go immediately. Sandra takes away his sword. She says, however, that she will not receive satisfaction from the fact that he so easily threw away his sword. She gives the sword to the little boy, who, under the influence of magic, plunges this sword into the body of a girl standing nearby. The boy panics and says that the body is on its own. The girl is bleeding. Raoul screams in horror. What is she doing? Let her stop. He gave her his sword. He says that it is also a sacred sword. It is needed to protect people. Sandra asks if he is still going to resist. If so, then the next one will be the great mage. Archmage Wendell screams. Raoul asks him to stop. The little boy continues to hit the girl with the sword over and over. Raoul, in horror, asks with a trembling voice to stop this. The boy himself is barely holding on and asks to be saved. Then the boy takes the sword and plunges it into his body. He falls. Raoul sees all this, his face filled with horror and despair. Archmage Wendell watches and laughs to himself, thinking that Raoul has an absolutely stunning face. Here Raoul, in horror, begins to attack Sandra, and then the general hits him on the head. Raoul's nose is bleeding and he turns to the general, who says that he was told not to move. Sandra says she thinks Princess Victoria will be pleased with such thorough bloodshed. Archmage Wendell begins to feign pain. He tells Raoul that this is all his fault. Raoul screams his name. Sandra tells Raoul that he will now be taken to the capital. Raoul shouts to Sandra to leave Archmage Wendell. He is already without strength. He will go with them, so let Archmage Wendell go. Sandra tells him to stop joking. Doesn't he realize they are criminals? Raoul is seething with anger. Sandra passes by Archmage Wendell and whispers to him that everything went according to plan, and that he should follow the instructions she left in the letter. Archmage Wendell is shaking. Raoul keeps calling him, asking if he can hear him. He promises everything will be fine. He will definitely save him. Let him wait for him. Archmage Wendell simply laughs and says he'll be waiting for him. He can't wait to see the look on the hero's face when he finds out. Raoul was brought to the capital and faced a variety of entertainments. He was accused of a brutal massacre of villagers. And in the church he was met with the body of his sister, and immediately after that he was locked up in prison. That's how his days in hell began, where day after day, Princess Victoria poured out her blood for him. She beat him while he was tied up, telling him to scream louder. She stroked his cheek and said what a pity it was, and he had such a beautiful face. She licked his blood from her fingers. She pressed his groin area with her shoes and spoke with laughter, persuading him to belong to her. She was telling him to become his servant. She kept pressing and twisting her heel. He lets out a sigh. Princess Victoria looks at him. At this time, Raoul, covered in blood, was wondering if everything was okay with Archmage Wendell and Christiana too. He hoped that they were safe and sound. At this time, Archmage Wendell himself is enjoying the evening, eating fruit. He says that in the meantime, Princess Victoria is having fun in the dungeon with the unsuspecting Raoul. And he can't even imagine that they are living here in comfort in the royal castle. He holds an apple and says that now it's time to see how the hero's face will contort. And then everything happened. Dear Raoul met him with shining eyes, and when he offered him to become the princess's servant for their sake, he simply agreed to it ridiculously quickly. The hero, who never noticed that he had been deceived all this time, was ridiculously pathetic. So he said that all his friends had long been dead, as well as that he saw in him nothing but a tool to achieve his goals. Raoul asks what about Archmage Wendell. They fought shoulder to shoulder with him against the demon lord. He says that he never saw him as a friend, he is only his tool. Then Raoul began to cry bitterly, asking how this could happen, but he believed him. Tears were falling without stopping, he was crying innocently. Archmage Wendell laughs and says that it is not proper for a hero to cry over something like this. Perhaps he will feel better if he goes to his sister. He smiles and says that he forgot that she was already dead. Of course, he also tells him what he saved for last. Raoul looks at him in horror. Archmage Wendell asks him if he knows what happened in that church while he was wandering around after killing the demon. Archmage Wendell says he thought she liked him, so he was thinking of trying her out. At the church, all the priests were standing in line. Archmage Wendell says that as soon as he found out that she had already stretched everything out quite a bit, all desire immediately disappeared. He smiles broadly and asks if Raoul thinks that the great magician himself would get dirty on her worn holes. He continues to press and say that he was still interested in the moans that the hero's sister makes, so he decided to go and listen, that is, something like a school excursion. He says what a slut she is. She tells how all the old priests took advantage of her. He concludes that it simply turned into trash. He tells Raoul to be calm, he certainly wouldn't touch such filth with a finger. He goes on to say that Princess Victoria doesn't understand anything about it anyway. He was so surprised when he came back and was told she had been killed. He thinks she should have been saved for last for the greater effect. He says that it was worth waiting until the child was born, and then it would be possible to finish them off one by one. He says that he thought that she would become their trump card, that's why he advised the princess to go to that very church. So what can you do with it? Raoul trembles and asks him why his sister. He asks if he really is asking why. He easily answers that if he himself is hurt, there will be zero effect. Raoul continues to cry in horror. Archmage Wendell says that the only thing left is to use the people dear to him, because that's exactly it. Archmage Wendell says with a grin that it was precisely because he pretended to be such a stupidly honest hero that his beloved sister met her death. Raoul's tears flow without stopping. He sweats and looks down as if in a mad, unconscious state, realizing his words. Archmage Wendell watches him, laughs, and says again what a pretty face he has. His face reflects the complete pleasure he is experiencing. Raoul takes a breath and starts screaming in rage, thrashing his arms around. Everything is ringing and shaking. He is terrified and screams the name of Archmage Wendell with such anger that the Archmage himself stops smiling and opens his eyes wide. Raoul screams in anger that he should not even dare to touch his sister in such a tone. His eyes burn more than usual. Raoul is no longer in tears, he is filled only with hatred.